The story opens with Gretchen narrating about herself. I'm a hardcore role player and an ordinary gamer. Whatever game I play, I throw myself completely into the character, without any embarrassment or regret about the role I'm playing. Right now, you're facing Edmund. He bellows a string of curses. Are those cowardly humans just going to bury their heads and run for their lives? Then he launches an attack aimed at Gretchen. Die quickly so you're out of my sight. The thought in your mind continues. Well, at least until I logged into this damn game. You were attacked and angrily rated this trashy game poorly. Gretchen kept wondering while confronting Edmund, why do I have to endure this kind of pain? I just wanted to play games to escape the harsh reality. Your lips pressed together, biting so hard they bled. In Gretchen's hand now is a long sword, her expression resolute. Now I. The sight made Edmund burst into laughter. How can that ruined body still stand? Right, just die and be done with it. Pathetic creatures like you are good for nothing. He added another remark, didn't you want to just die already? Meanwhile, Gretchen raised her weapon thinking to herself, I just want to quit this damned role play. Pushed to the limit, you screamed aloud, just let me go home. The moment that sword came down also revealed Gretchen's true wish. I want to go home. There was a time before the screen displayed the game's interface. User connection confirmed. Followed by a short line of text, welcome. A voice rang out, it all began with my little sister. She ran out excitedly thinking father had returned. The white dress I bought her for her birthday was now stained crimson, pierced through by a jet black blade. Even the light seemed swallowed. Then a shriek rang out, Irina no. The brutal scene flashed before Gretchen's pupils. Next, Big Brother, once the night squad captain, and following him Big Sister who took leadership after he died. The white-haired girl decisively lunged forward to seek justice, The hazy memory made Gretchen wonder whether tears had welled in her sister's eyes then. And if so, those tears were soon drowned by blood. A strange hand from behind reached toward Gretchen. My mother screamed something. She hurriedly shoved you back. Run, quick, my child. The thing in mother's hand then. Was it a kitchen knife or father's sword? Gretchen then cried and shouted, please, I'm a knight too. But your attempt to fight changed nothing. No, you must run now. The massacre continued. I thought our father might have returned already. And then Gretchen could confirm that her memories after that moment were completely blurred. I only remember grabbing a sword. After that, the world around turned blood red, then washed white and finally sank into darkness, until it was only dimly lit by the moonlight. The blade pierced straight into my right arm and sank deep into flesh. Gretchen's legs wavered, she could barely stand. Shortly after, you lost your balance and fell to the ground. At that moment, a demonic voice sounded from behind. Indeed, a perfect vessel. A ghostly hand reached for Gretchen, ignoring his pleas no. The thing placed its hand on Gretchen's face and continued, you will become a great one, won't you? He could only shed tears, powerless, begging. I beg you, hopping for a soul strong enough to tame this evil nature, an entity unbowed by darkness. Someone who can rise and defeat the demons, please manifest. Do you hear my calls? Back in the present, Gretchen jolted, waking with a cry. He still hadn't recovered from those memories. Suddenly, George's impatient voice cut through his thoughts. Hey, are you getting off the vehicle or not? The place where Gretchen had stopped was the Tatara trading station. He gave no reply to George and showed no emotion. But when Gretchen suddenly stood up, George was startled, visibly shaken. He decisively got off the vehicle without uttering a single word. Gretchen's feet touched the ground leisurely. George watched his retreating back and couldn't help mumbling curses about that arrogant jerk. Though he heard those words, Gretchen still showed no expression. But inside he was already screaming with excitement. Wow, this roleplay is top tier. When I watched the opening cutscene, I actually thought it was my real past. The immersive lead-in to the tutorial is incredible, and the NPCs look as lively as real people. If I were allowed, I'd probably dance gleefully in the street. It's only the opening and already like this. Can I keep my character set up intact? Gretchen looked out at the space before him and continued thinking. The game launched today. This place, Tatara Trading Station, is the newbie area. 15 years ago, this tragic family-focused masterpiece was shut down after 5 years. And what I'm experiencing now is a VR remake. I'm a gamer who's longed for this game's revival, and also a hardcore roleplay fanatic. Gretchen covered his face and muttered, my eyes hurt. But then he had to ask himself, wait, I don't usually add this tag, just an idle itch to try it. I'm just a casual gamer, not some edgy kid trying to act dangerous. By now you must be curious what archetype I'm role-playing as, aren't you? If not, whatever, listen anyway because it's hella cool. I even prepared a design sketch. Let me show the character concept I drew. Gretchen explained calmly. My character class is a demon knight, difficulty, hard demon knight. When the demon that slaughtered his family dwells in his arm, he turned his back on the righteous knight path to begin a wandering journey. Though he utterly hates the demon in his right arm, it grants him extraordinary power. He uses that very power to hunt down all demons. He employs swift, valiant techniques that match his brutal yet sensitive nature. The demon that killed my family now resides in this arm, and I can't tell when it will consume me. Gretchen continued imagining a worse scenario. And once it fully controls me, those around me will die just like my family did, at the hands of someone other than myself. Gretchen reaffirmed, fearing that possibility. I always keep my distance from everyone, because I'm always terrified of being consumed. My mind is constantly taut like a violin string. I hide the loneliness and unease inside with a cold, sharp exterior. Right now I'm thrilled and thinking to myself, and that's exactly my character's image, isn't it? I spent a ton of money to deck out this whole concert, but I don't regret it at all. The coat fluttering in the wind, the clanking armored left arm. Gretchen's bobbing in the street made people around wonder, what's wrong with that guy? Is he taking a leak here? This is exactly why I love roleplay. Hearing that, you immediately snapped back to your cold demeanor. Stop wasting time self-indulging. Now the roleplay really begins. So what do I do next? Let's see, normally at this point a quest log should pop up right. After waiting a while, Gretchen still saw nothing. Where's the minimap? Where's the quest list? What the hell, do I have to wait for an NPC to trigger the story to find me? But unexpectedly a voice from behind called out, "Excuse me, are you the Demon Knight adventurer?" Gretchen inwardly rejoiced, here it comes. You slowly turned around to face the person who had called you. Though your face remained expressionless, you were full of questions, no dialogue options at all. I thought at least some keywords would appear to respond. Usually there are. The boy opposite then spoke. Is it you? Gretchen replied coldly, yes, it is I. Then in a low voice he requested, led the way. Your unapproachable appearance frightened the boy. He obediently agreed, yes sir. The boy turned and began to lead. You're heading to the Adventurers Guild, right? Please follow me. Gretchen observed from behind, silently judging. Look how timid this kid is. He looks exactly like a real child. You imagined greeting him warmly. Don't be afraid, I'm very friendly. As you walked, Gretchen remarked, how could they design people in streets this realistically? Different conversations echo everywhere, you must pay extra. But then profit margins, rebels, demons, you added another thought. Just like that NPC worker earlier, these lines don't sound scripted but like real-time reactions. But no matter how real it feels, they're still in-game NPCs. VR tech was only recently commercialized and its development speed is truly astonishing. At last the boy stopped at a spot. We're here, sir. Gretchen glanced and slowly looked around. This crowded place is the Tatara Adventurers Guild. The boy stepped forward and quickly called out, reception desk, I've brought an adventurer. Inside, Gretchen kept screaming, my god, are these sounds and graphics real? Look at the floor material, even the feeling of stepping matches walking on real wooden planks. Did the developer kidnap aliens to make this? You were greeted by Israel, have you arrived? She smiled and introduced herself, pleased to meet you. I'm Israel, the receptionist of the Tatara Adventurers Guild. Your appearance is so striking I recognized you immediately. You're the Demon Knight, right? Per procedure, may I see your adventurer's badge? Gretchen glanced at the notice panel that appeared beside him. Inventory. You can open your inventory by putting your hand into the air, think of the item you want and then clench your fist. You muttered in confusion. Hey, with the HUD right in front of me like this, how can I see the path ahead, especially since I can only see with one good eye? Everything is absolutely perfect, yet suddenly there's a bug with the status display position. There really are still human flaws. Gretchen took out the card and moments later Israel promptly replied, yes, confirmed. May I escort you to accept the request right now? The client is in an extremely urgent situation. Hearing this, you slowly agreed. Lead the way. Following Israel, Gretchen was extremely eager. Finally, the newbie quest he'd been waiting for. If it follows the original, I already know almost everything that will happen next, yet I'm still so nervous. However, when Vincent saw you, he made a remark. This guy looks even weirder than the rumors. There's probably no one else with such an obnoxious face, though that makes him easy to recognize. So you accept a request without knowing the details. Are you brave or suicidal? His blunt way of speaking made Israel beside him remind him Guildmaster. Gretchen silently judged. Wow, this NPC old man has a really fierce temper. But it's fine, he's just a pile of programmed code, which means I can trash talk an old virtual man without feeling guilty. Still, Gretchen reconsidered. In some cases, if you lack friendliness points they won't give you the quest, but since this is a tutorial, he'll have to give it to me right. Meanwhile, Vincent kept urging, are you deaf? Why are you as silent as a sack of rice? Israel hurriedly intervened. Guildmaster, please watch your words. By now you had worked it out. Okay, I've thought of my lines. Fully in character, Gretchen declared, your tongue is truly impudent. Both Israel and Vincent gaped at hearing that. Their reaction flustered you, huh? Why are these NPCs acting so surprised? But then Gretchen explained it to himself. Could it be that these NPCs? Now that I think about it, I should have realized that earlier. In front of you is Vincent's information, the Guildmaster of Mabel's Trade Guild. Let's see if he can keep that arrogant look after hearing the details. Follow me. Reading this, Gretchen wondered, shouldn't the quest storyline have popped up by now? Next to speak was Israel. Demon Knight, did you really accept without knowing the details? You judged inwardly. If I want to do it, the game's story will force me anyway. But this level of realism is exactly what a roleplay addict like me loves. Thanks. Roleplay is part of the game experience after all. After thinking a moment, Gretchen slowly spoke, so. Your tone revealed displeasure. You mean the thing I'm about to handle could get me killed, right? Gretchen even narrowed his eyes and demanded, those pieces of trash, are they? Israel was completely terrified at this reaction. Fortunately, Vincent cut in, enough talk, hurry up and assign the task. If you don't mind taking it, we're happy to give it to you. Philip spoke on his behalf. The sewers are acting up. We've sent several workers down and none returned according to those who came back. They say a nest of demons has taken up residence deep inside. I don't think the missing workers are still alive. So the mission is to eliminate the demon nest and recover their bodies or relics. At this, Vincent added, the demon hunters who went in before have all died there and the temple's been dragging its feet, saying to wait longer. I called you because I heard you have skill, but with that slight frame of yours, can you even lift a sword? His inadvertent question made Israel rush to interject. Guildmaster. But in truth, Gretchen wondered why the quest log still hadn't appeared. Does it only show after accepting? He slowly said, don't lump me in with the weaklings. It's just cleaning out the sewers. That confident remark annoyed Vincent, so arrogant. Seeing this, Philip hurriedly shouted, Guildmaster. Gretchen just smiled inwardly, avoiding their gazes. Yes, I deliberately put on that act, but his reaction was so genuine I almost wanted to explain myself. Whatever, this ultra-real NPC is better than listening to other players complain. Once more, Israel spoke to confirm, so you accept this quest, right? Gretchen answered decisively, yes. She began the procedure mechanically. Let me draft the contract. The objective is to eliminate the demons in the sewers. The secondary requirement is to recover the workers' relics. Then Israel turned to Philip and asked how many workers hadn't returned. He quickly supplied the information, 13 in total. She continued, what's the mission deadline? Philip explained in detail, 1 month, but since you traveled here from afar, I'll give you an extra 2 days. Meanwhile, Gretchen wondered inwardly. I came all this way and the quest log still hasn't appeared. Having to talk to advance the plot like this, maybe the developer aims for a hyper-real experience. Israel smiled as she spoke of the pay. The reward is 400,000 gal. After deducting the guild's 5% commission, you'll receive 380,000 gal. The impressive figure shocked you, 380,000. It's just a newbie quest and the reward's that high. And why is there a commission? After all, it's just in-game money. 5% isn't much, but why do I still feel uneasy? What's this hollow feeling? She added cheerfully as the paperwork was completed. The contract has been set up. When you report mission completion, just come to the guild and see me. Israel turned to Vincent for his signature. Sir, please sign here. At that moment, the information panel finally appeared before Gretchen. It's shown now. The quest details, sources of sewer contamination, eliminate the demons, secondary objective, find relics. Reading this, you were a bit surprised, so the quest only appears after signing the contract. Those developers are perverts. But this setup made Gretchen very pleased. Actually, I kind of like it. Philip spoke up from behind again. I've booked lodging under the guild's name. Our people will guide you. Here is the sewer map. You don't need to return it. Seeing the paper laid out, you were a little surprised. Even the minimap is handmade. At this, Philip declared very seriously, then everything's entrusted to you. Gretchen observed him and judged. Worry for someone who might not return, yet the look and tone of a person doing his duty. The NPCs were crafted with astonishing finesse. So tense, it's like I'm about to step onto a theater stage. Then you replied coldly, once you've taken the money, failure is not an option. The iron gate slowly lifted. Gretchen was now ready to step outside. The gatekeeper called after you, we're counting on you, those demons give me a headache. Gretchen silently replied, yeah, I know. The weapon you used was the heavy destruction sword. A gigantic blade that can crush and obliterate obstacles, striking terror into any foe in its path. Upon leaving the gate, Gretchen tested his weapon. He killed a rat, but its scream startled him. His face showed confusion. Why was that sound so loud? Is its durability decreased? I swear I only tapped it lightly. The sword's durability is 99 out of 100. Gretchen continued calculating. The sewers must be narrow. Using such a huge weapon could cause it to break mid-fight. I'll switch to something else. You switch to another weapon. The longsword, the most commonly used blade, well-balanced and highly versatile. Gretchen was very pleased, thinking, all right, now I'm ready for a real hunt. Then he walked off slowly. Oscar watched Gretchen's retreating figure and muttered his comment. This guy really is as terrifying as the rumors. He has the best presence of any demon hunter I've ever seen. If only his ability matched that appearance, that would be great. After a while, Gretchen was extremely irritated. You filthy demons. He kept delivering decisive slashes. Come on, get in here, you damn vermin. His footwork was quick and impeccably precise. Gretchen wiped out the goblins as easily as flipping his hand. His eyes showed fierce determination. I'll shove you back into whatever hole you crawled out of. The bodies of the goblins lay strewn on the ground. Gretchen moved forward and commented, boring, not a single challenge. The quest info popped up before him. Sources of sewer contamination, eliminate the demons, find relics, look for traces of fallen adventurers, rescue the child. Gretchen mumbled as he walked. I can't believe they let this mess go on until it got this bad. His thoughts ran wild besides. After killing so many demons, not a single piece of gear dropped. What the hell, this shitty game is stingy. No wonder the newbie quest pays so much. Turns out it's because nothing drops at all. Gretchen even considered doing something reckless. So frustrated he wanted to loot the corpses himself for profit. He stopped and looked up at someone tied by vine ropes, but the situation was awkward. After all, this kid was staring right at me. Then Gretchen decisively cut all the ropes, and he easily grabbed Pau's leg. The boy, though in an awkward position, politely said, "Thank you. This completes one objective of the child rescue quest." Gretchen observed him and thought, this kid looks a bit older than the sister in the opening cutscene. Speaking of my character's backstory, it's surprising the demon that killed my sister is actually parasitically inside me. It's a miracle I haven't gone insane. My profile only lists me as sensitive. Anyway, I rescued this child, unlike my poor sister who died tragically. I'm not the type to spout cheesy lines like, this kid reminds me of my sister. But my character would probably be a bit gentler with children, right? But before touching the kid, Gretchen asked himself, is it too much to pat his head with this demon-possessed hand? Protecting the weak is, after all, a knight's duty. Upon hearing that, Pao asked calmly, are you a knight? You just turned and lazily admitted, of course. I wouldn't be rude to a child, partly because of my character setup and partly because of these ultra-real NPCs. They walked and talked together. Why were you stuck here? Pao explained simply, my mother went down to clean the sewers and never came back. Then he even took the blame on himself. So I came down to look for my mother, I'm sorry. Hearing that, Gretchen was completely moved. Oh my, that's so tragic, children should be happy. But outwardly he coldly reminded him, this isn't your business, you should trust the adults and wait obediently. The boy awkwardly admitted his fault, I'm sorry. This reaction made Gretchen want to hug Pao and soothe him. Oh my, this boy, what did he do to deserve apologizing? He came down here looking for his mother and had to suffer in this corner, it makes me want to cry along. Outwardly he reminded him, don't apologize to me. I am not someone worthy of that apology. Try showing the relics you just found to the child. The child recognized his mother's item. The boy sobbed pitifully. I couldn't bear to tell him to stop and leave him there. I had to tuck the exhausted boy under my arm and carry him out. I've heard VR games capture real actors' motion to make NPCs. Surely they must have hired a stellar child actor to get this presence right. Knowing it's fake, it's still hard to see it as fake. Gretchen sighed again. Seriously, thank goodness this is only a game. At that moment, an information panel appeared before him. Purification, demon-corrupted areas can be purified by burning with holy power or pure flame. If purification is not completed, demons will return. Please ensure that demons never appear on this land again. Gretchen muttered to himself, if only I'd read this notice more carefully, then would I later regret it less. Patrick burst in with a loud call, requesting reinforcements. Our guild signal flare was just fired nearby. He reported in great detail, a red flare, there are many casualties. Patrick even added an exclamation, it's an emergency. Meanwhile, countless people on that side have already lost their lives. The survivors are hiding in terror. Their faces are the very image of horror. Gretchen's account began another story. Not long after leaving the sewers, the child regained consciousness and optimistically said, my mother is with God and happy now, right? He thought to himself, if there's a God in this world, it must be the game developer. But unless the people who made the game are perverts, otherwise she'd surely be happy, it's worrying. Israel greeted the two of them with a puzzled expression. Adventurer, did you come here on business? She tilted her head in puzzlement. What's with that child? Gretchen briefly explained Pao's background. He's the child of a worker. I heard he went down into the sewers on his own to find his parents. If you want details, ask him yourself. He then produced a bag. Take this too. Israel took it with a puzzled look. What is this? Gretchen watched her and wondered. I was just about to show it to you and you snatched it away. It's almost as heavy as a child, no joke. Israel curiously asked, what is it? He calmly explained, the relics recovered from this boy's mother are in there. This answer left her somewhat flustered. These items are the relics of all 13 people. Gretchen frowned and asked back in puzzlement, what else could they look like? Israel immediately changed her tone. No, I'll forward them to the hirer and verify their identities. She began to inspect the contents, even a pile of adventurer badges. Israel's face visibly softened. She lifted the bag and spoke. On behalf of the guild, I extend our deepest gratitude to you. Gretchen thought inwardly, if you're thankful, then be truly thankful. I'd had to grope my way through the sewers with no target markers at all. I struggled, the markers vanished, that surreal nonsense. But hearing her thankfulness in that choked voice eased my irritation a bit. This level of immersion is terrifying. Israel then spoke again, so your hunt for today ends here. This question left Gretchen baffled. What's she talking about? There's no way a player would stop grinding. Seeing he didn't answer, Israel changed the subject. Do you plan to go back into the sewers? But maybe it's better to rest for a bit. This made Gretchen even more astonished. Rest? Rest for what? I smashed my piggy bank to prepare for an all-night gaming grind. Wait, what's an all-night grind? It's the thing where you lock yourself in the gaming booth for over 24 hours and don't bother eating or sleeping. The stimulants that support grinding are insanely expensive. Or maybe there's a hidden linked quest deeper in the sewers. Perhaps her line was hinting I should rest and come back because this quest is long. I don't get what she means. Why would I have to return to those sewers? But then Gretchen guessed, is it about purification? I only came up because I was afraid of asphyxiation damage. Are you assigning me that task too? Do you mean I have to do the purification as well? However, Israel looked puzzled and asked, pardon, purification? She asked again in confusion. I'm just asking to be safe. Have you cleared out all the demons in the sewers? Hearing that, Gretchen retorted, of course, why would I bother coming all the way back here otherwise? Israel hesitated as she explained her thoughts, to return this child to his family. He wondered in bewilderment, I didn't clear that place that fast. Her reaction is so dramatic, it's annoying. Is she looking down on me? The annoyance in his expression made Israel quickly deny it. I absolutely did not mean to belittle you, sir. Sincere apologies, great adventurer. As for the child you rescued, we will take responsibility for his care. Please wait a moment while I summon the quest hirer, follow me. Gretchen decided to operate the info panel. While waiting, he should check the skill menu and the recent level up. Notification panels appeared. Sources of sewer contamination, discuss further with the hirer. Israel placed a gleaming pouch on the table. This is your quest reward, 400,000 gal. Seeing it, Gretchen was stunned. These developers are vicious. Apparently money is only earned through quests. They poured all their effort into the game's realism. He recalled 15 years ago quests paid barely anything, and you had to make money by looting monster drops. Philip spoke up to explain the next procedures. We will cover the brokerage fee, and we will also buy back the spoils taken from the demons at a fair price. Hearing this, he continued thinking, that reminds me. It seems there's a butchery skill in the life skill tree. Looks like I could make some money from that. Still, even knowing this, I'd choose combat skills. The reason is the small change from those vermin isn't worth worrying about. That line reflected Gretchen's true intent. Yes, a true roleplay fanatic even chooses character skills that fit the role they're playing. Besides, Legend of Heroes isn't a party game. It's single player, so I can pick whatever I like without worrying about team roles. Hopefully, I'll unlock cooler skills later like these. Gretchen reminded himself not to forget that, but to do so he needed to advance the story to level up. Then he turned to the staff. Is that all the work here? Then Gretchen turned and left. There's no reason to stay, I'm off. At that moment, a notice popped up before him. Sources of sewer contamination, quest completed. Just then, a voice rang from outside. Chairman, are you here? There's an emergency. Vincent barked. Are you charging in like a raging horse as if your rear's on fire? However, Patrick entered with an extremely urgent expression. There's an emergency rescue request. He explained the situation. Our guild's signal flare was just fired nearby. Vincent exclaimed in surprise, what? Patrick continued to explain what was happening. We've alerted the Holy City's guards, but they're moving too slowly. At this point, Gretchen thought to himself that this was a familiar early game trope, quickly triggering the next quest chain. As soon as he heard that, Vincent dashed forward. Those bastards take so much in taxes and work like trash, send our people immediately. He even urged Gretchen to go, you should come too. Gretchen answered inwardly, okay, I'll go, just let me finish the line I prepared. But outwardly he kept up his cold demeanor, don't order me around. No sooner had he spoken than Vincent cut in curtly. This is a request, a favor, kid, I'll pay you well, so go and return quickly. Gretchen headed for the door, calling back, contract set, lead the way. Patrick replied quickly, yes sir. Israel added, safe travels, we'll have the contract ready waiting for your return. A quest notice appeared shortly after. Victims in distress options. Join with mercenaries, move to combat area, eliminate attackers, bonus reward and number of survivors. Gretchen saw it and was pleased, thinking nice. The quest board popped up. Patrick then suggested, let's rendezvous with the mercenaries now. Gretchen cut him off, no need, take me straight to where help is needed. Gretchen's gaze focused on the last line of the quest board. It looked ominous. Either way, this is a timed mission, there's no time to rendezvous. From behind, Vincent reminded them again. Let him go, if he cleared that sewer alone he won't die easily. This surprised Patrick. What? Meanwhile, Gretchen was extremely pleased. Perfect, old man. Patrick quickly led the way, then let's depart at once. The horses are ready nearby. Hearing that, he grew excited inside. Horseback riding? Piece of cake. I have some renown in those horse riding simulator games, no joke. Gretchen murmured to himself. Hang on for me, my precious experience points. The sky now wore a deadly red. The hooves struck the ground with heavy beats. Both rider and horse sped through the forest. When had Gretchen joined the fight? Victory belonged to my blade. The sword in his hand was wielded with practiced skill. The goblins died as soon as they ran into Gretchen. His face was serious as he declared it, and glory belonged to heaven. The victims shouted various things. Reinforcements are here. Wait, only one person, a vanguard, please save me. Some of them tried to fight back. No, stay away, the last reinforcements have arrived, I won't die here. Suddenly, the goblin standing in front was felled. Gretchen dismounted decisively. Then he shot forward like an arrow. Where Gretchen aimed was the densest goblin gathering. As he neared, he slowed and said, you just begged to be saved. Then I'll grant your wish. A promise followed, I'll slaughter them clean before your blood runs out. The others were alarmed, alone. Gretchen replied calmly, not worth answering. His eyes now flashed with red light. With tremendous momentum, Gretchen loudly proclaimed, I'll rip you apart, you vermin. He swung many slashes and shattered the goblins' formation. Gretchen alone successfully broke through their encirclement. The innocent villagers could only watch with stunned eyes. His appearance looked strange at this moment. Someone suddenly cried out it was. They looked at Gretchen with some fear. Monster. From another direction, a voice rang out, what's with this murderous aura? The Inquisitor calmly explained, Archmage, at dawn tomorrow we must depart immediately for the Tatara trading post. Someone replied, why is that? The Inquisitor gave a brief explanation. I sensed an extremely powerful stream of demonic energy in that direction. The system displayed, Victims in distress option, move to combat area, eliminate attackers, bonus reward, survivors 30 out of 52. Gretchen thought, I know this game is hyper-real, but must there be scenes of monsters spewing gore into my face? A young adventurer spoke up. I don't know who you are, but thank you sincerely for your help. Suddenly, Gretchen heard terrified screams. They're being corroded by demonic energy. Suddenly, Gretchen heard terrified screams. They're being corroded by demonic energy. The system continued. As the corrosion level rises, the body will suffer various adverse effects and may even risk turning into a demon. The earlier young adventurer anxiously asked, isn't there a cure? Another young man answered, we have sedatives, but Gretchen thought, right, the original game had a system like this too. In the original, each time you took damage from demons, the corrosion accumulation bar would increase by a certain rate. 20%, 30%, 40%, up to 100%. Gretchen thought, I'd forgotten because the Demon Knight class is completely immune to this. The reason being Demon Knights are already possessed. Gretchen felt pleased. In any case, she already had some useful items in her bag. Well, rewards scale with survivors, so might as well use them now. She quickly reached into her equipment pouch and a screen of various items appeared. Gretchen handed a bottle to the young adventurer. Take this. The boy asked in surprise, can I really have it? The system displayed, Demonic Corrosion Antidote, a rare elixir capable of purifying demonic energy corroding the human body. It helps suppress the madness caused by demons and grants temporary peace. The boy hurriedly replied this, thank you so much. Gretchen said use it, then she tossed the antidote bandages and sedatives toward the boy. The boy, a little flustered, cried out, oh, thank you very much. The young adventurer quickly called out loudly, everyone, that great person just gave us medicine and bandages. Gather the corroded and wounded here quickly. Gretchen felt satisfied. No wonder the game gives me lots of starter gear. It's for moments like this. The system displayed, Victims in distress option, move to combat area, eliminate attackers, bonus reward, survivors 27 out of 52. Gretchen thought, is there anything left to do? The survivor count seems fixed at this. Suddenly, he heard the sound of galloping horses approaching. Everyone around looked relieved. Reinforcements have arrived. The system displayed, victims in distress, mission complete. Gretchen thought, oh, finally the completion notice appeared. The system continued. Victims 2 gather 25 corpses, recover relics. This time Gretchen didn't understand what the system meant. He wondered, do I have to clean up this battlefield again? The system kept the previous information unchanged. Gretchen silently stared at it in helplessness. He felt secretly furious, his pride badly wounded. After a while, Gretchen stood with his arms crossed, leaning against a tree. He thought to himself that it seemed the NPC's actions also counted toward his quest progress then. So I'll just stand back and watch. 2 militia troopers grumbled irritably. So what if he cleared the monsters alone? Such arrogant pride. Look at him standing there smug with his arms crossed. On the surface, Gretchen remained cold, but inwardly he felt pleased. Keep muttering your curses to your heart's content. After all, you're just NPCs. Standing by watching others work must be so enjoyable. One trooper felt uneasy under Gretchen's gaze. Why do I feel? Suddenly one of the troopers spoke up. Why are demons here? I never thought we'd face something this horrific in the West. If it were the barbarians attacking, I'd understand. Gretchen thought, the way they weave such detailed lines must be to pave the way for the next plotline. The two troopers continued discussing. Some bodies have gone missing. What? Dead people can't just walk off, I don't know. But even counting the mutilated corpses, the numbers are still too few. One advised, for now let's return to the city. Our lives are the most important. The other replied angrily, they collect so much tax from the people but won't properly clear out the demons. This time I'm definitely going to see the city lord to file a complaint and demand compensation. Gretchen thought, missing bodies, it's surely related to those who worship demons or some dark mages. This will probably lead to a quest chain to hunt down who's behind it. Suddenly a trooper called to him, hey, cleanup's done, let's head back. The system displayed, victims 2 collect corpses, 25-25, recover relics 30-30. Gretchen quickly moved to the wagon, let's go. Cutscene. Vincent spoke slowly, well done. Gretchen replied, just pay the agreed reward fairly. Vincent retorted irritably, do you think I'm so poor I'd stiff an adventurer? Wait a moment. He suddenly slammed his staff down on the floor, oh, and also. Vincent glanced at Gretchen, I want to assign you another task. He immediately replied, go ahead. Philip spoke up. Guildmaster, our merchants don't have urgent needs that require hearing more mercenaries right now. Vincent answered gruffly, what else would it be? Go and wipe out the demons. The location is the northwestern forest. Israel hurriedly said, yes, Guildmaster, wasn't that area already assigned to other adventurers from our guild? Vincent angrily scolded her. I'm doing this because there's been no word that they've finished. Do you know how many people rely on the northwestern forest for their livelihood? I don't have time to wait. Now that I've seen his capability with my own eyes, I've decided to send him there. Gretchen thought, this old man may be gruff and rude, but he's actually kind and cares about others. I like that elder archetype. He said, so you mean I just need to go kill the demon in the northwestern forest, right? Israel replied, that's right. If you are certain, I'll process the task handover immediately. However, for the adventurers who already set out earlier, Vincent snapped, they were incompetent and got kicked out. What does that have to do with me? What do you want me to do? Philip watched them argue helplessly while Gretchen kept his indifferent expression. Israel answered Vincent, you'll still have to pay the contract cancellation fee out of pocket, won't you? Philip said, so I understand you agree to take this mission then. A while later Philip told Gretchen, it's late already. I will lead you to an inn to rest, and we can discuss the mission details along the way. Cut to the morning of the next day, it was a sunny day. The system displayed, danger lurking in the northwestern forest, move to the northwestern forest. Gretchen sat on the wagon being taken to the location. He silently cursed the game developer, what kind of damn game is this? And they even made the fatigue mechanic so realistic. 10 hours straight on a wagon, this trash game really doesn't have a travel skip feature. What glory am I supposed to be chasing while I'm being tormented like this? The boy beside him looked at him with admiration, which made Gretchen feel proud. Hang in there, finish this quest, and there's a double luck event. Cut back to that early morning. After staying one night at the inn, an official contract had been drafted under the guidance of Mabel Trading Company's assistant. Philip said, I won't rush you to set out today, but please resolve it as soon as possible. Gretchen replied coldly, state the reward. Philip quickly answered, the bounty for that monster is 700,000 gal. Gretchen felt a thrill inside. Oh, the quest reward is really 700,000 gal, but outwardly he remained expressionless. And Philip replied, since this is a personal contract, I'll add 200,000 gal from my own pocket if you bring back its head. Gretchen was astonished by this news. However, he felt a bit helpless at Philip's expression. No, I mean, what next? It's just that we'll sign the contract like that. Negotiation skill leveled up. My skill just increased unexpectedly. I haven't even spent any points on negotiation yet. However, he felt a bit helpless at Philip's expression. No, I mean, what next? It's just that we'll sign the contract like that. Negotiation skill leveled up. My skill just increased unexpectedly. I haven't even spent any points on negotiation yet. H immediately said loudly, fine. I'll add 300,000 gal more, that's the cap. Gretchen felt himself blurt out a long exclamation. Oh my mother, your son might have a knack for getting rich. Maybe I should keep this suave persona in real life too. However, contrary to his inner excitement, Gretchen coldly replied, understood, have the money ready. I'll depart immediately. Philip hurriedly called, wait, are you leaving right now? You can rest a day before going. Gretchen answered, I don't have time to waste while demons are about. Cut to present, he was seated inside the wagon. Gretchen calculated inwardly. After I grind to max level and have free time, I'll try the game's real estate trading feature. It's probably very polished. The boy suddenly asked, "Sir, you're an adventurer, right?" Gretchen thought, actually this character joined the Adventurers Guild just to make money, but he probably doesn't see himself as an adventurer, more like a lone avenger wandering about. No, I'm not. The boy lowered his eyes awkwardly and said, "Oh, I see." Gretchen felt guilty. Did I answer too curtly? He quickly added, "But I do similar work. Do you have anything you want to ask?" The boy eagerly asked, "Have you ever seen the sea?" Gretchen felt pleased. Oh my, how cute. The game designers did an amazing job with child NPCs. Their expressions and actions are just like real kids. However, he replied indifferently, "I have." The boy asked, "What does the sea look like?" Gretchen answered, "It's a deep blue like your eyes and its waves roll gently like your soft hair." The boy was surprised. "My eyes look like the sea?" Gretchen replied, "Yes, they do." A while later, Gretchen thought, although the trip was a bit sore on the butt, the journey to the northwestern forest was fairly smooth. I never could have imagined that there. In the forest, he quickly raised his weapon to block the attack. The girl was attacking him. The Inquisitor snarled in anger, "Born human and you dare betray God. In the name of the Lord, I will punish you." Gretchen thought in amazement that he could actually encounter that person. Gretchen began to press deeper into the northwestern forest. Suddenly, a system screen appeared before him. The system displayed enemy recognition. Recognizing enemies is the most basic element in combat. It allows you to detect murderous intent. Gretchen felt pleased, wondering when he'd find the demon in this vast forest. But with a support skill, everything was different. The system suddenly turned red, detected a hostile target within 10 meters. Gretchen froze in surprise at this information. He thought, what the so fast? The Inquisitor roared, "Born human and you dare betray God." In the name of God, she suddenly lunged at him. The Inquisitor's eyes blazed and she held a weapon, ready to strike. Gretchen immediately widened his eyes in astonishment at the strange situation. He hurriedly reached back and grabbed the sword on his back. Gretchen quickly drew his sword and parried the Inquisitor's blow. She shouted, "I will punish you." Gretchen thought the strike was truly heavy. His sword's durability was definitely going to plummet. He swung hard forward, knocking the Inquisitor backward. The Inquisitor quickly checked her retreat momentum and halted. She looked at him coldly, lips pressed tight with determination. Only then did Gretchen have time to observe the Inquisitor. She was of the church, it seemed. The Inquisitor replied, "That's right. I came here to execute you." Gretchen no longer understood what was happening here. A thought flashed through his mind. A pastor coming to execute me? Why? Meanwhile, Gretchen replied with an expressionless face. "The church I know is a place of people who do good and dispense compassion in God's name. Have you now become thugs who use violence against anyone?" The Inquisitor roared angrily, "How dare a demon speak of violence?" An ornament on her garment suddenly emitted a powerful magical aura. The Inquisitor continued repeating angrily, "How dare a demon?" As for Gretchen, he wondered in surprise whether he was a demon. Judging by how she spoke, she was definitely a cleric type. No quest popped up, so this wasn't an event or part of the main storyline, so why did she mistake him for a demon? There wasn't even any cursed equipment in his inventory, so why would she mistake him for a demon? Suddenly a thought flashed through Gretchen's mind. Oh right. Wait a moment, Gretchen quickly seized his sword. Isn't this a perfect opportunity? The glove was worn out of utter hatred for the arm possessed by a demon. She hated demons, but doubted whether someone possessed was still human. He quickly concluded this was a good chance to gain more character setup points. Gretchen grew angry and shouted, "Don't call me a demon, you fanatic. Victory belongs to my blade, glory belongs to heaven." The Inquisitor angrily scolded, "A traitor corrupted by evil who even dares to imitate a knight. Wise up and submit to bindings to face judgment." She lunged at him to attack. Gretchen silently agreed. She was right that he was only pretending to be a knight. After all, he hadn't been knighted. He coldly looked at his opponent over the blade in his hand. Then Gretchen suddenly vanished from his previous spot. He declared inwardly that he wouldn't bother to fight honorably. Understood. The Inquisitor bristled, "How cunning, how dare you hide in the shadows." The system displayed, "Breaker of the Sacred Seal, enchant your weapon with magic and launch a powerful demonic downward slash with wide frontal range." Gretchen suddenly reappeared and shouted, "Breaker of the Sacred Seal." The Inquisitor hurriedly raised her white shield to block. Gretchen attacked her by unleashing a stream of magic toward the opponent. The Inquisitor quickly brought her shield up to block. Gretchen taunted, "Curl up and hide behind that shield if you like. You look no different from a tucked-in turtle." The Inquisitor replied coldly, "I will take your head as an offering for the souls who suffered." Her weapon suddenly began to glow, and Gretchen felt puzzled. What is that effect, an empowerment buff or an attack? The Inquisitor raised the glowing weapon toward the sky. "God is always with me." Outwardly, Gretchen stood motionless and expressionless, but inside he wanted to shield his eyes. What is that blinding light? Gretchen now realized what the move was, a skill that boosts both attack and defense. Doesn't she have an amazing skill, a full body stat buff? I wish I had it, I'm so jealous. Honestly, isn't that way too game-breaking? In the original, it only applied to weapons, but since it's a counter system, the 1.3x damage multiplier should still hold right. The Inquisitor charged at him again, placing the weapon before the shield and rushing forward aggressively. Gretchen quickly looked for a way to block. She wasn't attacking directly, but radiated a halo of light as if chanting a purification spell. Cleric types move too slowly to land hits anyway. I don't know the level gap between us, but I'm definitely faster. He immediately launched an attack at the opponent, but the Inquisitor's shield blocked all the strikes. Gretchen muttered, "Oh no, everything's useless because her shield has a perfect 100% block rate." He frowned slightly, annoyed by this troublesome enemy. Gretchen pressed forward and decided to change tactics. Breaking that shield is impossible. The Inquisitor shouted, "If you have nothing to hide before God, then step forward and face me, you traitor." Gretchen narrowed his eyes and smiled upon hearing those words. He answered inwardly, "I'll grant you your wish." Gretchen lunged up and slashed directly at the opponent. The Inquisitor raised her shield to block. The Inquisitor frowned slightly, holding the shield against his quite strong strike. Gretchen seized the opportunity and jumped onto the shield to charge at her. The system displayed, Cleric class equipment is extremely sturdy and heavy, which makes their movement slow. The Inquisitor was startled to see Gretchen appear above her. Gretchen dashed forward, "It's over, fanatic." He delivered a very powerful strike at the Inquisitor, forcing her to use all her strength to block it. She gritted her teeth in anger and discomfort at being pressured by someone like you. Gretchen thought to himself that, on the other hand, the Dark Knight class is. He quickly jumped out of the previous fight and prepared to attack the Inquisitor from behind. He felt proud his class is top tier in attack speed. He shouted, "Pay for your bluster." Suddenly another voice cut in, "Oh flame, burn my enemies." A flame shot between them. Gretchen was surprised, an elementalist skill here of all places. Oliver spoke, "My goodness, I didn't expect a judge to struggle this much. I'm a little late, but I'll assist you now." The Inquisitor exclaimed excitedly, "You're here, Archmage." Gretchen didn't understand what was happening. "Judge, Archmage." He recalled quietly. The cleric's third job is judge, the mage's third job is Archmage. Are they talking about both third-tier class advances? So my enemies are a combination of two third-tier classes. One who blocks and heals and one who deals ranged damage. While I'm just a low-level newbie who just finished the tutorial, Gretchen felt this was so unfair. Gretchen felt anxious about the current situation. Are they serious? Are they planning to bully a clueless noob like me this badly? It's like smashing an egg against a rock, more like ramming your head into Mount Siorek. Is there any way to beat this? Telling me to accept death without a pain-off switch? Are you kidding me? He feared inwardly, pain isn't the problem, what about the penalty for dying? Suddenly a thought flashed through Gretchen's mind, wait will of course. He paused for a moment, are they telling me to go die? Right, the system includes death. If dying is part of the tutorial, maybe new utility features will unlock after death. Gretchen suddenly realized, the developers made this realistic so you'd experience everything, no matter how annoying. Clever devs, now I'll depart in peace. He closed his eyes and pondered the situation. If I'm going to die anyway, what is there to fear? I'll do as I please, say what I want and die in style. Gretchen said, Archmage, that lofty title is history. Now you just hang with a reckless girl and scare passers-by. The Inquisitor snapped angrily, you're the fake one, feigning innocence while having signed a pact with demons. The Archmage is merely fulfilling his duty. Suddenly the system displayed, hostile target detected within 10 meters. Gretchen glanced back warily, reinforcements. No, the presence he sensed was a giant snake crawling toward them. Oliver wondered Medusa. Gretchen wanted to shout, hey, that was my line. The Inquisitor barked, you blame me by playing innocent while summoning allies, traitorous cultist. Gretchen replied calmly, allies, it seems the holy light has blinded you. He faced the giant snake calmly. I'll carve that demon into 100 pieces and tear that stupid mouth of yours apart. The system displayed, Medusa, a demon made of hundreds of snakes coiled around a red serpent, it will scatter when threatened. The snake opened its mouth wide and lunged at Gretchen. He breathed a quiet sigh of relief. A demon appearing right now turns out to be a story event, he thought. Yeah, the devs aren't crazy enough to kill players outright, I trusted you. He smiled faintly, perfect timing, you bugs. Gretchen shouted excitedly, I will bring death to you. The Inquisitor snapped angrily, pretending not to know then trying to join in. Oliver hurriedly stopped her. Wait a moment. Oliver's face showed worry. She spoke slowly, that person. Gretchen had just dodged a swipe from the monster. As the window description said, Medusa's core is the red serpent. In the original you just attack until the snakes scatter to find the red one, but that's too bothersome, right? With the impatient Korean mentality who would wait. He grinned slightly, raised his sword, and charged straight at the monster. If they make it this realistic, then the core's position is painfully obvious. Gretchen streaked in and sliced straight into the monster's midsection. The monster's blood sprayed everywhere and the small snakes were flung out. Gretchen continued to watch the enemy, right where the snake's heart should be. A red serpent had appeared among the differently colored snakes. Gretchen immediately realized her prediction was correct. He tossed his sword behind him, trying to use it now would only miss. Gretchen thrust her hand quickly into the mass of black snakes. He quickly pulled out a blazing red serpent. Gretchen immediately dispatched the snake and made it collapse. He felt satisfied. Nice move, red serpent eliminated. So now he slowly turned so the attackers could witness it. Gretchen decided to start the dramatic demon hunter performance. Gretchen dropped the red serpent to the ground at her feet. He gathered his strength and stomped on the serpent once. Gretchen bent down to inspect it and realized the serpent was dead. He removed his foot from the serpent. Red footprints appeared on the ground. The Inquisitor looked at him with disgust and contempt. Gretchen slowly raised his sword. These damn fanatics know how to behave at least. I will praise you for not needlessly cutting and hastily. Should I tear that mouth apart now as a trophy? Oliver quickly spoke up. Wait, there seems to be a misunderstanding. I apologize for attacking you, please hear us out, okay? The Inquisitor was surprised. A misunderstanding? What are you saying, Archmage? Do you know why a traitor, why a demon would fight? Oliver replied, no, he is not one who made a pact with demons. The Inquisitor looked unconvinced. But he clearly used demonic power. How can you say he isn't? I've never been taught such a thing. The Inquisitor looked unconvinced. But he clearly used demonic power. How can you say he isn't? I've never been taught such a thing. Gretchen felt amused. She's talking about me. Third-person explanations are oddly entertaining. I should wait and see. Oliver said, normally a host possessed by a demon loses consciousness and becomes a zombie. Instead, that young man seems to have tamed the demon and is controlling its power himself. The Inquisitor flustered in rebuttal. That can't be. Such a thing can't be done by mere human will without the power of God. Oliver replied, there's nothing impossible in this world. Only things that are said to be impossible. If not that, then what am I supposed to call the young man before me? Gretchen said coldly, how long are you two going to babble in front of others? He feigned anger. Zombie, how dare you treat me like trash? Actually, he felt pleased inwardly. Being given a fun scene by the owner means he should perform enthusiastically. This is my chance to confidently show off my personality. Oliver bowed and admitted fault. Clearly this was our mistake. If you want anything, I'll try to provide it. Gretchen thought to himself, at most they'll give me some loose change and starter armor, right? He ground his teeth and replied, damn it, you'll comply if you can. Oh, if I told you to commit suicide, would you do it? Oliver answered slowly. Gretchen cut in, if you can't do that, spare me the cheap apologies. If it were me, I'd tear your jaws off and hang them at the village gate. But doing so would make me no better than those demons. He quickly sheathed his sword and vanished. Contrary to her aloof exterior, Gretchen truly felt excited, really thrilled, like syncing up with college friends. Who replies this smoothly. You know why? A powerful character with a lousy personality only looks cool if there's an opponent who reacts properly. Thanks for that. Suddenly he stopped mid-step. Gretchen suddenly remembered, oh right, I almost forgot to take the corpse. He quickly picked up the bloodied red serpent. The Inquisitor suddenly spoke. Wait, Gretchen mentally retorted, what now, going to complain about me taking the corpse? He turned and faced the Inquisitor's jade-green eyes. Gretchen felt bored, an NPC, a newbie player needs this to complete a quest. The Inquisitor spoke loudly and clearly, listen to what I say. Gretchen immediately looked alert, new quest. At that, the Inquisitor stood firm before Gretchen. I apologize as well. Seeing him dazed, she grew flustered. If I explain now it would sound like an excuse, please forgive me for attacking you earlier. Gretchen found it puzzling. Aren't Elite Daughter NPCs always stubborn about preserving their pride? Or did you imagine the Inquisitor would arrogantly question you? Aren't you ashamed of profiting from demon corpses? Monsters have no justice, unbelievable. Gretchen's silence only added to the awkwardness. I know repeating it won't help, but I sincerely apologize. Only then did he truly accept it. Her apology was so earnest it felt slightly awkward, though he knew she was just an NPC. Fine, it was a misleading situation. Then the Inquisitor added, I'm not just offering empty apologies. If you want a reward, I'll pay as much as I can. This resolute tone surprised Gretchen. Her mindset was commendable. Is this a recruitment event? He felt slightly annoyed by the scene teammates. In this godforsaken place, I don't need them, and this character's roleplay doesn't suit me. With that thought, Gretchen turned and left. Keep roleplaying, I don't need your hypocrisy. Those words made the Inquisitor deeply guilty. Not hypocrisy, hear me. At that moment a voice came through. Inquisitor, calm down. She halted and looked to the Archmage. Oliver remained calm and slowly reminded her, more importantly, we must go. It's a waste of time not having caught the demon, and once the purification is done, we must report it immediately. Hearing this, the Inquisitor replied dejectedly, you're right. Then she chided herself, it's late, hurry up. Oliver and the Inquisitor fell in behind Gretchen. Footsteps echoed through the forest, but something halted. The two behind stepped in sync, showing no sign of stopping. He felt that something was off. A thought popped into his head. The air grew indescribably heavy. Are they following me? Gretchen looked up at the system screen, meaning she'd opened the map and was heading straight for the village. But could they actually see this map? Behind her, Oliver started small talk. You've been working hard all week. You must be disappointed you didn't kill it yourself. The Inquisitor shook her head cheerfully, not sad at all. Purification is my duty as a servant of God. They completely ignored Gretchen. He couldn't hide his disgust. A plotline, let's probe, he thought and acted. Gretchen snapped back insolently, I told you to get lost. He put on a troubled expression. Do my words mean nothing to you? Faced with that, Oliver was oddly calm. Sorry, if we've offended you, we didn't mean to. We were just following the guiding magic. It seems our destinations coincided. Gretchen felt a bit embarrassed. Oh, I see. They weren't following me, they were following their own marker, so they have their own map window too. So he lengthened his stride quickly, too embarrassing. I'll slip off somewhere else. At that moment, the Inquisitor hurriedly called out to stop him. Wait, where are you going? The night forest is dangerous. Gretchen used a cold tone to refuse. It's only dangerous for people like you. Don't impose your standards on me. He silently prayed, leave me alone, respect my roleplay. She murmured worriedly, it's not good to go alone in the night forest. Watching Gretchen's figure fade, the Inquisitor turned to Oliver and asked, letting him go like that, will he really be all right, Archmage? He's already strong. If he were possessed by a demon, it would be disastrous. Oliver rubbed his chin, thinking for a long time, I've never encountered this situation before. Personally, I hope he isn't possessed, but... The Inquisitor picked up her shield and weapon. Desires and reality are often far apart, I know. Oliver revealed softly, I've temporarily placed a tracking charm on that young man. Since our destinations seem similar, just keep observing. She had no choice but to accept the advice and prayed, may God bless him. On the silent full moon night, a flock of crows suddenly beat their wings and flew away. After a long while, the town's lights finally came into view. Gretchen headed straight for the door of an office. As soon as he stepped inside, he ran into Israel. Oh, sorry, it's late, so you'll have to wait a bit for a new task. Before she could finish the second sentence, her face went pale at Gretchen's appearance. His face darkened, killing intent surrounded him and a metallic stench wafted off. A death knight. Gretchen quickly handed a cloth bag to Israel and requested, confirm this for me. She looked flustered, not knowing what to say first. Why are you back so soon? Wait, yes, I'll handle it right away. Israel glanced at him and then at the contents of the bag. Why is there a serpent corpse in here? She was once again shocked. Good heavens, don't tell me. You went to the northeastern forest and defeated the demon in just 2 days. Gretchen wanted to whine inwardly, but her face wouldn't allow it. Israel, do you know how much I suffered? He recalled last night's story. I confidently turned my back on those NPC teammates and started walking. But soon I realized a harsh truth. It actually took a full 8 hours by carriage to get there. At that point, Gretchen found it a bit absurd. No way, it's still a game. Could they really make me walk that entire distance? It's supposed to be entertainment, come on, impossible. And clearly Gretchen had set out at bright sunrise, crossed the forest at midday, and even as time slipped into dusk and then late night, she kept reassuring herself. It's fine. Sometimes Gretchen would glare up at the sky and scold. No, it can't be. What a crazy walking simulator. I've been walking nonstop all day. She had planned to camp along the way, but this forest ecosystem was so varied, they made the game realistic to the point of frustration. Truly a trash game lavishly developed to madness. Until the system notified her she'd reached the Tatura trade post. She thought, when that window popped up, I almost cried on the spot. Of course, Israel knew nothing of this. Let me confirm first, the demon in the northeastern forest is Medusa, understood. We'll monitor the situation in the woods a bit more as a precaution. Given the circumstances, that's probably correct. At first light, we'll verify the report, complete the quest, and distribute the reward. The system displayed the quest completion info. Gretchen wobbled mentally but kept up a cool front. I'm dizzy, could I be getting old? I've never been this sluggish just from an all-nighter gaming before. At that, Israel suddenly remembered. You look tired, I'll recommend an inn for you. Inside, she rejoiced. Thanks, Israel, damn this game. If I hadn't bought full teleport yesterday, I'd have smashed my console and quit. Soon after, a boy popped his head out and ran over. Oh, you're back so soon? Didn't you leave just the day before? She took the cloth bag and instructed, he must be exhausted from finishing the quest. Please take him to the White Wind Inn. As soon as they stepped outside, the boy asked about the adventure. What demon did you hunt this time? Was it strong? Gretchen coldly said, demons aren't a topic for small talk. The boy realized he'd spoken out of turn. I'm sorry. From his expression you could tell, he's under pressure. I kept role-playing even knowing this would happen, but I'm sorry for being a lousy adult. I should give him a generous sum when we arrive. I've earned a ton today. After reaching the White Wind Inn, Gretchen could finally flop onto a bed. Should I rest? Is this even a game? More like a brutal work simulation. Just because the fatigue meter hit max doesn't mean the real player has to be exhausted. Currently my fatigue is 100%. The system opened a countdown, sleep 6 hours. Gretchen mumbled drowsily, I'll sleep and then decide whether to smash the machine. With that she tapped the start button on the screen. Night deepened and the stars shone brilliantly across the sky. The cozy rooms were peaceful and nothing happened. The inn room was shut tight, completely still. At that moment a figure began wandering down the corridor. After a while, Gretchen's door was pushed open just a crack. The person tightened their grip on the mace's haft. They aimed the weapon straight at her head and brought it down. A fleeting thought crossed Gretchen's mind, I have to get up. Just then the system alerted, hostile target within 10 meters. She snatched her sword quickly. As the mace came down, Gretchen managed to block it just in time. Philip ground his teeth and hissed, damn it. He braced himself inwardly, really, I'm the one who should be saying that, you crazy bastard. What kind of detection skill is this? It said within 10 meters but only warned me when it was right up my nose. Philip was quickly shoved back by Gretchen. How is he so strong? Immediately afterward, he shifted into a proper sword stance. Gretchen coldly swung a razor-sharp blade toward his chest. Philip suddenly felt remorseful. Spare me, I only wanted the purse. Gretchen's face went stern, her voice dropped as she sheathed her weapon and put her hands behind her head. He felt the scene had gone off course. This is crazy, seriously. I'm role-playing this character and he's spouting lines like a cop. Hearing that, the mace in Philip's hand clattered to the floor. He raised his hands trembling, pleading, I give up, please spare me. Gretchen snorted mockingly, lately does banging someone's head make purses drop out. He startled when Philip withdrew a hidden dagger. That's usually how it goes. Gretchen instinctively dodged his clumsy movement. He struck the back of his neck, rendering Philip unconscious. A lump formed on his head. Gretchen could only say tersely, did you really think you could kill me with that toy knife? Ridiculous, she thought contemptuously. Even though I'm just a normal player, being mugged while this exhausted is laughable. I half expected a whole gang, but it turned out to be just some thief who opened the door and walked in. What kind of event is this? Gretchen dragged the suspect out into the reception area. Israel flinched when he saw the scene, good heavens. Though he meant no harm, his killing aura radiated strongly. Sorry for getting angry, but can I sleep a bit? Before Gretchen could reply, the woman went pale and screamed. She couldn't help stammering, dispose of the body. Gretchen tapped Philip's head with her sword. Her eyes said, when did it die? At that moment the system issued a new alert. Hostile target within 10 meters. No sooner had she glanced over than the Inquisitor stormed in. Did he really commit murder in that short time? Without a word, she directly accused Gretchen. I knew it. If a zombie retains consciousness, it can only be. The Inquisitor said this while lunging her weapon straight at him. Gretchen quickly stepped back, evading the strike. His expression soured, this troublesome NPC again. Why does she always show up in awkward, misleading moments? Is this plot a bit contrived? But the Inquisitor was still glaring at Gretchen with a bullet-like stare. Her murderous intent rose, tightening the atmosphere further. Despite the trouble, he wasn't bothered. Moreover, her arrival amused him because it triggered deeper roleplay. Gretchen issued a final threat. I did warn you I'd kill you if you kept following me. Per the backstory I made for the Death Knight, there are triggers that make him lose control, spawn of the devil, in God's name unconscious. And this nun loves pressing those triggers every time we meet. In God's name, spawn of the devil, you filthy zombie. The Inquisitor snarled as if to dominate Gretchen. Silence, you filthy demon who stole a human body. He smiled and sighed just as expected. Then Gretchen spread her stance and went on the offensive. Across from her, a cold glint flashed in the Inquisitor's eyes as she swept a look over him. Gretchen exhaled softly, you're accelerating your own death. Magic flowed along the blade. If you don't want to get dragged into something pointless, step back. His indifferent gaze narrowed slightly, dropping to the place where her people stood. Gretchen intended to execute a quick takedown, finish it cleanly. Unexpectedly, someone intervened. Icy chains wrapping around and locking her actions, binding. At a glance, Gretchen recognized it as the control attribute of a mage's skill. If that's the case. Oliver burst in from outside in a panic. Wait, please stop. Seeing her, Gretchen thought to herself, I've been wondering where you've been, you mage. This skill will automatically break after a while, but I should resist to stay in character, life for the role, so she didn't hesitate to perform. Shut up. The Inquisitor gave Oliver a puzzled look and demanded, Archmage, what's going on? Why did you tell us to stop? Before she finished speaking, she noticed Gretchen's sword brimming with magic. She swung forcefully and all the bindings shattered at once. The blade swept across, coming within a few centimeters of the Inquisitor. It carried such destructive force it damaged the ceiling. Israel had somehow crawled under the table. His face had gone pale. Oliver gaped, unable to believe what had just happened. After that burst of power, Gretchen's blade remained wrapped in dense purple mana. The atmosphere in the inn's front hall grew tensely more intense. The Inquisitor then asked softly, did he dispel the Archmage's binding skill that easily? How? Gretchen's lips pressed together, her expression darkened. But inwardly she was rather pleased, see, strange as it is. Dozens of comments from gamers demanding mages be nerfed. Surely the binding skill was overpowered in the original game, so people kept asking for it to be weakened. Oliver cleared his throat awkwardly. First, let's both calm down. It seems there's been another misunderstanding. The Inquisitor refuses to admit she's wrong. What are you talking about? I saw him deal with someone with my own eyes. Please explain. Oliver was getting a bit annoyed. Inquisitor, has your rage against evil blinded you? Look carefully around and verify for yourself whether that man actually killed anyone. After looking around, she discovered Philip was still alive. The Inquisitor's eyes rounded like a child. He's not dead, really. She was so astonished, she turned to Gretchen to confirm he was indeed alive. His appearance was annoyed but inwardly 10 times happier, just as I thought. I wanted to kill him, but I didn't. A moment later, Oliver made a proposal. Could you explain the situation if you don't mind? I know it's shameless to ask for an explanation after attacking first and asking later, but the other guests have also come out. Rather than causing unnecessary misunderstandings, give us a chance to ease their worries. Gretchen had no idea when they had gathered like this. Then he ordered Philip, confess on your own. Gretchen felt a surge she couldn't express, and don't flash your butt again. He turned his head trembling, please spare me. Gretchen's eyes lit up as if she could pocket Philip at any moment. Shall I repeat it? He screamed in terror and desperation. No, I targeted his money, it's all my fault, he's generous with his errand boy. I thought he was rich, so I only. Just that explanation made Gretchen feel much more at ease. The misunderstanding was completely resolved, utterly exhausted. He turned and left without waiting for anyone to speak. From now on you'd better pay more attention to security, I'm off. Israel stammered, trying to hold him back. What, wait, adventurer. He didn't bother and walked straight out. I'd already stored the unequipped gear in my inventory, so no need to pack great. Rapid, hurried footsteps echoed behind Gretchen. After a few steps he froze, thinking to himself, hey, why do that nun and mage look so familiar? Last time it was dark and chaotic, so I didn't get a good look, but now seeing them again, Gretchen's thought was cut off by the Inquisitor. Wait, that guy. At that remark his steps halted and he glanced back cautiously. The Inquisitor seemed to have hurried after him. Her breathing was all out of rhythm. Gretchen's pupils imprinted that confused look of hers. Outside the Tatara trading post, the Inquisitor stopped, panting. He turned as if to get a better look, to study that face, the nun. She had blazing red hair, that style people call the flag of death. And notably, the Inquisitor also had sparkling green eyes. From those features, Gretchen realized this wasn't the official nun character class from Legend of Heroes, was it? Just then Oliver opened the door and ran up. Inquisitor, bursting out like that without thinking is dangerous. She patiently reminded her, if you want to talk, calm down and consider what to say and how people will react. His gaze moved to Oliver, looking closely. The Archmage was the same. She had a tall, muscular appearance like a white lion beastkin, a demi-beast race in the game. That is the official mage character model. Gretchen couldn't hide her scrutinizing look. In the original game, I don't recall non-player classes appearing like this, since each character's storyline differs. A thought flashed through him. If they're tailing me like this, is teaming up with NPCs mandatory? Gretchen clicked her tongue inwardly. I don't want that. If I wanted a party, I wouldn't have roleplayed like this. With this much freedom, it's probably not required. Maybe I'll probe how they're acting. Saying that, he put on a look of disgust. Don't you know what shut up means? Or was a spawn of the devil's insult not fit to reach the ears of a noble nun? She was momentarily struck dumb. Oh no, I mean sorry. For some reason, the Inquisitor suddenly closed her eyes. Unexpectedly, she knelt directly before Gretchen. The insult I caused you cannot be atoned for with mere words. The Inquisitor even slapped her chest and declared, if an apology isn't enough, take my head. Gretchen was dumbfounded by her resolute action. Silence fell completely between them. No one spoke another word. Gretchen was in utter shock. Is she crazy? He couldn't believe those were the words of a proud nun. Sorry, I just like playing alone. I am not some bloodthirsty killing machine, understand? Why are her views so extreme? Then Gretchen glanced at Oliver. Who taught her to think like that? The temple? No, was it you, Archmage? He had to give up. Even the Archmage was wearing a face that said, damn, what now? Gretchen felt deeply wounded, yet she had to stop the Inquisitor. Refusing now would completely break her character image. Just then Oliver looked up and met Gretchen's scrutinizing gaze. She was momentarily stunned, her face going ashen. From the Archmage's perspective, Gretchen exuded lethal intent. Oliver couldn't help but plead, "Please have mercy. The Inquisitor only recently left the temple. She knows very little about the outside world. It's mostly my fault for not stopping her in time, so punish this old woman in her stead. The Inquisitor is still a righteous person. Ah, Archmage, please don't do that, it's my fault." She didn't care and only tried to explain to him. "I know I have no right to say this, but please," she still wanted to take responsibility herself. "I will, no, despite my lack of experience, this responsibility is mine alone." The situation grew more and more deadlocked. "There's no other way, I have to handle this myself." Gretchen touched the pocket at her side. Even if they're NPCs, the feeling was really unpleasant, but what can you do? Actually, the situation was kind of funny, so she went with the flow. She quickly drew her sword. "I've already given you a chance." After tossing the scabbard to the ground, Gretchen's voice grew deeper. "Yet you chose to accept punishment." At that moment, the Inquisitor could only press her lips together and bow her head in repentance. Gretchen reached out and grabbed a lock of her hair. She used the sharp edge of the blade to make a basic cut. Even Oliver held his breath, waiting for the final result. The Inquisitor's hands gripped her weapon so tightly they trembled. She waited and, seeing nothing happened, peeled her eyes open to look. Gretchen seemed to have finished and had already sheathed her sword. The Inquisitor looked down and saw that one side of her braid had been cut off. She stared in panic at her current appearance. The Inquisitor ground her teeth and lifted her face as if to question Gretchen. She couldn't help but stammer out, "Why?" The corner of his mouth curved into a smile. "Why, you ask? This roleplay-obsessed genius just spared you without breaking character, you know." Gretchen rubbed her chin and recalled something. Come to think of it, the woman from the prologue was about her age and also used a mace. Oliver was quite worried about the Inquisitor's hair. My God, she's shocked by that behavior. He's really leaving, just like that. Before leaving, Gretchen tossed out one line. "Look at your hair and from now on watch your mouth." She thought to herself, "I've removed that death flag hairstyle for you, so you'd better start valuing your life." Still, Gretchen kept a cold face, because next time the head that falls might be hers. The Inquisitor wanted to say something more, sir, but Oliver beside her held her back. Gretchen remained proud. "Don't you get it? I cut off that death flag hairstyle for you, now you must live long. Even if I leave them behind, those powerful NPCs will just trail after me, right?" She left looking cool while secretly elated, curious to see what events they would trigger next. At the same time, the Inquisitor regained her composure thanks to the Archmage. Her voice was still quite halting. She said that person was, no, that one was possessed by a demon. She quickly affirmed that's right. The Inquisitor stood and concluded. Then he must have suffered a great deal because of that demon. The hatred he endured to gain such overwhelming power was unimaginable. Yet he simply walked away, despite having enough power to act on that hatred. Oliver could finally breathe a sigh of relief now. That was mercy, Inquisitor. She kept watching Gretchen's retreating back. With that resolve, perhaps he had even overcome the demon dwelling within him. She wondered whether that was the power of his heart. Saying that, the Inquisitor bent to pick up the lock of hair from the ground. "I still have a lot to learn." Oliver smiled and offered advice. "There's no other way, she hasn't been out in the world long, so from now on." Before she could finish, she was cut off by the other woman. "And I've realized one thing. He is unquestionably a necessary figure for our journey." The Inquisitor's face now displayed an unprecedented fiery determination. Oliver was momentarily dumbstruck by what had happened. In an instant, her expression turned calm, as if enlightened. Looking at the moonlight illuminating the darkness, Oliver could only exclaim inwardly, "My heavens." One thing was certain. Tonight was truly beautiful, and there were about 2 days left on the full dive timer. Returning to the peaceful town, it was now the next morning at another nearby inn. Everyone inside sat and chatted happily. Gretchen stabbed her fork hard into the piece of meat before her. His complexion grew increasingly worse. Seeing him like that, the Inquisitor and Oliver were a bit embarrassed. In truth, Gretchen was feeling quite relaxed. "Why are you late? Trying to give me a break because you worry I'm tired, how thoughtful." Still, she kept a cold facade. "You suddenly ask, is my other eye blind or are your ears deaf?" Gretchen thought to herself, should I flip the table or smash things? No, food is innocent. After all, I still have a Korean soul. Oliver hurried forward to explain. "Wait, at least hear us out. I swear you won't regret listening." But your attitude was decisive. "No, there's nothing to hear." You turned your face away coldly. "Seeing you people is already sickening." As soon as she finished speaking, the Inquisitor awkwardly blurted out, She cried out helplessly. "I came here sincerely because I wanted to learn your magnanimity." After saying that, her face suddenly flushed red. Gretchen's demeanor remained very cold, as if nothing had happened. You wondered if you had overplayed it. By rejecting the old script so strongly, did you break her? The Inquisitor bowed her head to accept blame. be tolerant and understanding of others, and abandon pride and stubbornness. I was taught that my whole life but failed to live up to it. Her palms clenched, but he was different. Time and again he forgave my offenses. Surely that wasn't easy for him. Her attitude had completely changed. I have seen the path I must take thanks to you, the Inquisitor explained awkwardly. I know I've been extremely rude up until now, but even so. Seeing Gretchen unresponsive, she grew more desperate. It's over, you just revealed that terrifying smile. You didn't know how to respond and surrendered. Ever since becoming an otaku, I've always been soft on characters like this. Thinking back, even when I played Legend of Heroes, the cleric was my favorite class. Gretchen stepped forward and patted the Inquisitor's head. There, it's fine, it's nothing so cute. But all of that was only in your heads. You tell yourself to hold back, not to lose your cool. The Inquisitor looked at him with worried eyes and hastily bowed her head. Did I say something wrong again? Have I been rude? But the truth hit Gretchen like a blow to the heart. Outwardly, he kept as cold a face as possible. After thinking a moment, you speak. If your goal is to annoy me, it's rather entertaining. Gretchen grabbed the sword from her back. It's novel to see someone try to log out in such an odd way. Oliver hurried forward. That's not it, please hear me out. You still seemed uninterested. There's nothing to hear. The only thing I offer you is this blade, she blurted out Satan. She humbled herself as much as she could. If we said you could slay Satan, the Lord of Demons, would you sheath your sword then? Upon hearing this, Gretchen's expression suddenly shifted. You slowly lowered your sword, but your face remained terrifyingly serious. What do you mean by that? Oliver and the Inquisitor quickly straightened up, standing tall. The two of them turned to look at each other, sharing the same thought. They understood clearly. The lone remaining gaze fixed on them radiated an unprecedented killing intent. He obviously hated demons more than anyone they'd ever met. The Inquisitor saw her reflection in the blade. Now that the name Satan had been spoken, if they dared hide even a shred of the truth, this blind man's accidental sword would tear them limb from limb. She clenched her palm, yet the pseudo-judgment did not hesitate. Her gaze grew resolute, for my life is devoted to justice. The Inquisitor understood. If she lied to him now, death would be the fitting punishment. But Gretchen thought to themselves, impressive, the Satan plot shows up right away. You felt exhilarated. Today's session was truly top tier. The tale of the pseudo-judgment originally meant someone who investigates or adjudicates matters of faith. However, in the game, the pseudo-judgment is the third job advancement for clerics. In the world's lore, they represent the temple's will in society. Oliver recounted what he knew. Though she is young for a pseudo-judgment, there was a reason she left the temple. Gretchen listened silently to her. Everything was because of a revelation. The Inquisitor, helpless, placed a hand on her chest. Though I am unworthy, the Lord conveyed a message that my mission is to destroy Satan. She looked up at Gretchen, but the Lord also said I cannot do it alone, I must seek companions. She continued to explain. So first I sought out the Archmage and we set out to find others. Oliver sighed softly. We came back to find you even knowing it would annoy you, that was the reason. The Inquisitor turned to her. Archmage, didn't you say everything would be fine? Oliver quickly averted his face and cleared his throat a few times. Gretchen's complexion worsened. It turned out she had been deceived into following so cute like a little bun, I couldn't help laughing. You jolted, asking yourself, wait, how is this? Shouldn't the player be the one to receive that revelation? You grew angrier. Could this remake's plot really revolve entirely around clerics? Seeing Gretchen's reaction, Oliver hurriedly spoke up. So hey you. She looked a little hopeful. Will you join us in slaying Satan? A sudden notification appeared. Initial objective, defeat the Demon King. You fell silent and thought, the main quest. She continued, I've investigated, you're a fairly famous mercenary. They say you've never faltered when hunting demons. She looked at Gretchen curiously. If Satan is slain, won't the demons in this country have to retreat? You suddenly found it amusing, that kid a hero. Oliver laid a hand on the Inquisitor's shoulder. If you need proof, we can go with you to the church. She didn't forget to add that every shrine would attest she is a hero. Gretchen fell silent and thought for a long time, what should I do now? Gretchen's voice suddenly dropped, those words just now. You warned them both, be smart and don't lie to me. You observed your companion, the pseudo-judgment, and the other companion, an archmage. A system notification appeared. Initial objective, defeat the Demon King, join the crusade. After speaking with the Archmage, Gretchen looked up toward Oliver. When negotiations were finished, Gretchen boarded the wagon and left. You glanced at Israel and the boy behind them. I joined the crusade and immediately left the Tatara trade post. You thought to yourself that a few events might occur, like the inn asking for another chance or someone demanding a reward. Thinking that, Gretchen suddenly felt tired. But to keep the character's image and focus on the main quest, I ignored it all. You kept feeling something was off yet. Gretchen just wanted to avoid the Inquisitor's gaze. Why does she keep staring at me? This made you a bit flustered. Ever since I agreed to join the crusade, the pressure has been enormous. In her eyes, there was only me. Gretchen sighed softly. Clearly, I've been saying nothing but harsh, cutting things to her. You glanced outside. If there were a friendliness meter, you thought it would have hit rock bottom by now. A notification suddenly appeared before you. You can take designated NPCs with you, locate companion NPCs, issue orders to companion NPCs depending on friendliness. NPC attitudes change with friendliness, and this stat is hidden. Gretchen was quite surprised when this notice popped up after she decided to go with them. You were puzzled. Normally your friendliness would plummet because of your roleplay addiction. You coldly declared, "Don't dream I'll consider you teammates." Gretchen suddenly recalled, "That's something I always say." You wondered if the friendliness was preset high because she's an early game NPC. The Inquisitor's mood was very excited. This made Gretchen appraise her too, like a kimchi dumpling. You sank into your thoughts. Ever since she cut that easy-to-lie-down hairstyle, she looks more like a bun, wide-eyed, both strong and fervent, genuinely cute. Your mood suddenly brightened like a child you raised yourself. After a stretch of silence, Oliver suddenly spoke up. She asked curiously, "Aren't you going to ask us anything? Like whether we really received a revelation, where we're headed, and why, things like that." Gretchen didn't know what to say. It's simple. You're just characters in the game, and I won't know the next map until we get there. But you still acted cool. If that revelation is a lie, I'll send you off. Other than that, I don't care where you go or what you do. You warned the two of them. If you're sane, know to report to me in advance what I need to know. Oliver was taken aback too. It sounded as if he utterly trusted us. Her voice hesitated slightly. Probably because you find these little matters bothersome and don't bother with them. After a moment's thought, she decided to continue. The shrine sent a request to wipe out the demons, and we're on our way there. The Inquisitor was about to add that our support for the shrine is entirely independent of the crusade. As servants of the divine, aiding the afflicted is our duty. Gretchen abruptly cut her off. "I don't care about that. You asked them bluntly what kind of demons and how many." She hurriedly reminded you that they'd only received word of demons appearing and had to get to the shrine to hear the details. Gretchen frowned in contempt. Useless garbage. A system notification appeared. Demons hiding in the village, report to the shrine and speak with the bishop. You were rather surprised it's not a main quest. But Gretchen paid it little mind. Whatever, as long as the plot moves forward. You calculated silently that there was about a day and a half of real playtime left in the game. Even though you complained that traveling by wagon this way wastes a ton of pointless time. Feeling tired, Gretchen decided to steal a quick nap. You glanced at the two across from you. They'll wake you when you arrive. Seeing you drift off, the Inquisitor became extremely excited. Last night, she had been sitting in the prayer room. Oliver suddenly knocked. "Pseudo judgment, may I come in?" She nodded and answered, "Yes, Archmage." She slowly opened the door. "I think we need to talk." Oliver stepped inside. She knew full well what it meant that he could take her life. Her expression turned awkward. "Don't tell me you don't understand how heavy a mission tied to one's life can be." Oliver, unsure how to explain, was interrupted by the Inquisitor. "You're right, I spoke rashly and thoughtlessly then." She slowly turned back. "But Archmage, didn't I almost kill an innocent person myself?" She blamed herself harshly. "Righteousness is merely violence with a reason, so wield it with caution and seriousness." Oliver sighed. "Never be too confident in the righteousness of your own cause." She kept reminding him that is the 9th commandment. The Inquisitor's hand began to tremble. "If you had accidentally killed him then, how many more innocent people would your foolishness have harmed?" She deeply regretted her action. "Someone who doesn't even fully understand the word like you, are you worthy to be a hero?" She continued recounting, "Yet by his mercy he gave you a chance to repent and awaken. When he said that, you were ready to accept death." The Inquisitor looked straight into Oliver's eyes. "It was his mercy that brought you one step closer to your mission." She was deeply moved. Didn't that make him like a messenger conveying divine doctrine? Back in the present, the Inquisitor looked at Gretchen, who was sleeping soundly. She smiled warmly and prayed that the divine would grant him a peaceful sleep. The carriage carrying the three of them proceeded to a new land. Time had become late at night at an inn. Gretchen's mood at that moment was extremely bad. He sighed and cursed inwardly. 3 days wasted in the game, this crazy simulation game. He felt heartbroken. Moving around takes so much time. Just ban the full dive mode already. My full dive serum cost hundreds of thousands of gal in real money. Angry, Gretchen searched around. At this point, she had to rush the plot as fast as possible while time remained. A new mission appeared. First defeat the Demon King, then go to the temple to speak with the bishop. The Inquisitor smiled excitedly. "Longer than I expected. No more delays, let's go to the temple immediately." She was startled to discover he'd gone ahead. When did he leave? She hurriedly ran after him. "Wait for me, demon-slaying knight, I'm coming too." Oliver could only slowly follow behind. An old man can't keep up. She noticed something amiss that caught her attention. She sighed softly. For some reason, her heart felt anxious and uneasy. In the sky, a flock of black crows flew in one direction, as if signaling ill tidings. The scene shifted to the vast royal palace. A while later, Gretchen set foot in this place. Dozens of blades threatened him, but he remained calm. The sage's premonition had come true. A group stared at him with hatred and shouted warnings about a demon. The Inquisitor hurried forward to stand between them and Gretchen. She loudly explained, "Listen, he is not the enemy." The newly arrived knight was surprised to recognize the birthmark on her arm as the hero's insignia. She said firmly, "I swear in the name of the hero that he is a victim of the demon, not its minion." Those around continued to murmur, but clearly there's a demonic aura. She's young, so she probably doesn't know. Anyway, she only recently received a revelation. We should report this first. Oliver stepped forward, raising the staff in his hand. Before anyone could understand what was happening, she slammed it hard into the ground. Oliver stepped forward and admonished, "All right, maintain order." Her tone was somewhat irritated. "The hero already told you to lower your weapons, yet you don't listen." Seeing she had intervened, the crowd turned and glanced at each other. In the end, they decided to lay down their weapons. The obvious truth was that the deity's messenger had spoken, and we will comply. The leader stepped forward and offered, "We will escort you inside." Oliver approached Gretchen and explained, "Please don't hold it against them. They mean no harm." She frowned in reply. "If they meant harm, I'd have already chopped their heads off." But inside, he was delighted. These misunderstanding events are the best, especially when an NPC steps in to resolve them. He couldn't wait any longer. "Let's go inside." Gretchen was in high spirits. Watching the two of them being timid looked oddly endearing. Suddenly he realized something was off, though he was genuinely happy. However, a new challenge was waiting for him. Maybe the game is too realistic. I'm starting to feel worn out. After a moment's thought, Gretchen decided to grab the information and then disappear. Everyone filed into the large room. The bishop told those present, "I think we've heard enough about the matter." He smiled and suggested, "It's late. Please retire to the rooms we've prepared to rest." The bishop remained calm. "If you prefer not to dine together, we'll have food brought to your rooms." Gretchen thought to herself that he meant she should obediently hide in her room and not wander about. She asked herself if she was being overly suspicious, but with conversations feeling like mind games, who wouldn't be suspicious? Gretchen stood up decisively. Role-playing is fun, but constantly putting on an act is exhausting. She knew clearly in her heart and spoke coldly, "I refuse." Gretchen didn't bother to soften her words. "I'd rather sleep on the floor than spend the night in this swamp full of phonies." What did the bishop just say? A system notification appeared. "A demon is hiding in the village. Track down the demon hiding in the village. Choose to question villagers or look for demon clues." She sighed softly. "The quest has been updated. Time to investigate, and I think I know what kind of demon it is." Gretchen suddenly turned and left, making Oliver anxious. Demon-slaying night. The Inquisitor was about to chase after her. "Please wait a moment." She instinctively reached out and grabbed Gretchen's hand. But this action made him very uncomfortable. He warned coldly, "Don't touch people without permission." Realizing her action, the Inquisitor awkwardly bowed his head. "I'm sorry." Oliver stepped forward and put a hand on her shoulder. "Where are you going?" Gretchen didn't explain and simply turned and walked off. "Obvious, I'm going to slay a demon. Where else would I go?" In his head, he silently messaged the two of them. "Sorry, if I waited for you it'd take forever. I'll speedrun this quest and be back right away." Hearing him, the Inquisitor quickly offered, "I'll go too." Oliver merely smiled faintly in a puzzling way. She watched Gretchen's retreating figure. "You make this old man feel embarrassed." She reminded them, "Let's go too." The mock judgment Inquisitor nodded happily in agreement. "Yes, Master Archmage." Seeing everyone leave, the bishop was extremely flustered. Hero said. Remembering something, Oliver turned back. "We deeply appreciate your goodwill, Bishop." She couldn't hide her displeasure. "But our friend isn't so irresponsible as to sleep when a demon is present." His face suddenly darkened at that remark. The Inquisitor hurried after Gretchen. "Please wait, we will go with you." She called out to the demon-slaying knight. Outside the door, the Black Crow had heard everything. It watched silently, observing the whole situation. After gathering the information, the flock of crows flew away from the area. Time moved to the late night. The moon was high above. Gretchen walked and thought, "In the end, we still end up forming a party together." Oliver seemed to remember something. "All right, now find witnesses to gather information." He suddenly cut in, "No need." She turned to look at him. "You already guessed what kind of demon it is." Gretchen felt exasperated. "This old woman already knows but is deliberately testing me." The Inquisitor looked at him with a blank expression. "May we hear your opinion?" She looked like a little steamed bun, which made Gretchen chuckle. He quickly turned his face away. He nearly laughed like a proud father. Gretchen replied coldly, "It's hard to believe someone like you is a hero." The Inquisitor firmly reminded her, "I acknowledge my many shortcomings, but please do not speak such disrespectful words." She continued to probe. "So which demon exactly is hiding here?" Gretchen turned her face away. Mocked and yet telling everyone not to doubt the will of the divine, truly tactless, but also somewhat admirable. He turned and walked on. "It's a Draugr." The Inquisitor couldn't hide his surprise, "So that's it. If it's a Draugr, everything makes sense." Oliver grew curious. Then we should look for places with a strong stench, right? She continued, if there's a nearby graveyard that would be the best place to investigate. I've heard Draugr are born from graveyards. Gretchen fell silent in thought for a long time. But he was suppressing his laughter so hard he trembled. Seeing the girl grow like this, holding back laughter wasn't easy. Focus, think about the grim matters, be serious. He connected the dots more carefully. Remembering the original game, this Draugr incident was the reason the village temple became corrupted and the cult emerged. He felt a bit excited, wondering how it'll be handled in this remake. Sensing something wrong made the Inquisitor alert. She turned her head to one side. I smell something strange, it emanates from in there. The three of them looked at the narrow alley right in front of them. After a moment's thought, Gretchen pulled out an oil lamp. He held it forward to get a better view of the alley. Seeing the corpse lying there, he immediately understood. Yes, from this moment on. The Inquisitor's expression changed in an instant. This is. It seemed things were far more troublesome than he had thought. Events began to shift in an unexpected direction. Gretchen brought the lamp closer to examine more carefully. The three of them noticed the color of the corpse, swarmed by flies and mosquitoes. The Inquisitor shuddered at the sight and exclaimed, my God. Oliver hurriedly turned away. I'll go fetch the guards at once. She nodded in agreement. Yes, please, I'm counting on you. He found it odd. He'd thought they'd add smells to the streets for historical atmosphere, but he hadn't expected Draugr to leave such a horrific stench even after passing by. Hunting these things alone is exhausting. Gretchen held her breath and stepped closer to examine the corpse. He sighed with some helplessness. We arrived too late. After a moment's thought, he decided, let me bring justice for you. Gretchen covered the corpse's eyes with her hand. Rest in peace. The Inquisitor behind clasped her hands tightly. I will pray for them. No sooner had she finished speaking than she began reciting strange incantations. He sighed softly, though he didn't believe in gods. This kind of ritual guidance did look convincing. Oliver ran over to inform them. The guards will come and carry the body away soon. She continued to speculate. Given how strong the smell still is, the attack must have happened only minutes ago. The Draugr can't have gone far. Wasting no time, Oliver used his ability to scan the surroundings. She explained to the two of them, this is a tracking spell. She added, it won't last long, but it's enough to follow. The Inquisitor promptly ran toward the area with the unusual signs. Oliver sighed and warned, making this old man look like a fool again. Let's go. The mock judgment Inquisitor obediently complied, yes. She had detected something strange. I'll proceed and cleanse the demon's miasma as we go. Seeing the light emanating behind her, he thought to himself that at least he wouldn't get lost on the way back. Gretchen's mood improved. Going solo or role-playing is fun, but having a party makes these steps much more convenient. Noticing something, he glanced in one direction. Gretchen suddenly slammed on the brakes. The Draugr had fled some time before. Looking down the path ahead, the Inquisitor was furious. Damn it. Everyone had no route to continue. It's a dead end. Oliver in the rear felt a bit helpless. My God, it looks like it phased through that wall and kept going. She suggested we should get to higher ground to find another route around. Gretchen thought that in theory it was a good idea, but he wondered to himself, it's still a game after all, maybe I should just try this. His action made Oliver anxious. Wait, you're doing that again. Without hesitation, he leapt up into the air. Gretchen used the narrow alley to launch herself straight onto the rooftops. She wanted to catch the Draugr as quickly as possible. Oliver and the Inquisitor could only stare in bewilderment as her retreating figure disappeared. Gretchen successfully climbed the dizzying wall. From above, she stood and looked around, observing the trail. The time that had just passed was enough for the Draugr to get away, making her search somewhat difficult. The Inquisitor and Oliver hurried in pursuit. She called out, demon-slaying night. She sighed in resignation, such a reckless one. Neither of them could do what Gretchen had done and only watched her from afar. Recalling her previous action, she burst into an excited laugh. So cool. Her whole body trembled with delight. She hadn't even used a skill and was already bouncing like that, and the sensation of landing against the wind felt incredibly real. Gretchen was lost in self-admiration. Could I secretly have a talent for parkour? Remembering something, she quickly refocused on the main task. Find the demon before the tracking spell wears off. Spotting the traces right before her, she immediately understood. It turned out to be that. Gretchen's expression changed instantly. Just a filthy pest and it dares to taunt me. She declared coldly, but this ends here. Wasting no time, Gretchen moved swiftly into action. She leapt from side to side at high speed. Nothing can catch up to her now. Gretchen's face broke into an exhilarated smile. She felt like she was becoming a superhero, she thought to herself. Long live this top-tier role-playing game. Immediately after, Gretchen landed perfectly. Glory belongs to the heavens. Her gaze sharpened to a frightening intensity, determined to avenge the dead. Before her stood an illusory Draugr, one that deceives human sight to devour them. Risen from a grave, it can pass through solid stone to hunt. Gretchen pointed her sword at it. This pathetic hide-and-seek ends here all right. Noticing something amiss, Gretchen froze. She wondered to herself. She assumed the system would automatically pull NPCs to chase it down, so why aren't they here yet? She felt a bit desperate. If only there were a kimchi dumpling here to cleanse the stench. The smell is horrific. Gretchen was still grumbling in her head. It's in 3D, so timing the moves is ridiculously hard. She wondered whether to wait for the companion NPCs to show up when Wander suddenly stepped forward. So it is you, Gretchen. His tone carried a hint of amusement. I was wondering how to lure those heretics out. He slowly approached Gretchen. I'm truly pleased you wandered here to offer your life like this. Wander revealed an excited smile. Gretchen, the king is looking for you. A system notification appeared. Pacts with demons, those who sell their souls to demons for power. It's unclear whether they sold themselves to demons or to their own lusts. After reading this, Gretchen was completely stunned. What the? She stared at the madman before her. King? Which king? The king of those who made pacts with demons. Why seek me? I'm done for. What kind of plot is this? Do I have to play along now? While she was still bewildered, Wander continued. If those heretics capture you, I'll give you a hand. Let's go enjoy the massacre festival together, Gretchen. She kept feeling that something was off. Gretchen, that name doesn't exist in Legend of Heroes. Seeing the emblem on his armor made her freeze. Impossible. Time seemed to stop as the two stared at each other. Gretchen wondered to herself, I've walked into the cultist storyline. Gretchen recalled, you made a choice. A non-human power has awakened. You have gained knowledge not meant for humans. Gretchen had endured agonizing torment. And then you broke free from mortal chains. You awakened a new power. Now you are on the path to becoming a true demon knight. Gretchen blankly wondered to herself what it felt like. She suddenly grew cheerful. After all, she'll grind multiple endings anyway. She can try this one later. Wander called out strangely, Lord Gretchen. Without hesitation, she raised her sword high. Just play the part for now. Not wanting to waste time, Gretchen acted. Her power was terrifying, sweeping everything away. She curiously looked up ahead. Did it hit? With a single strike, Wander suddenly became fearful. Gretchen sighed softly. He's using the Draugr as a roasted meat shield. Seeing things go awry, he hurriedly changed his tone. I'm sorry, Lord Gretchen, I spoke rashly saying you were captured. How irreverent of me, please forgive me. Hearing that, she felt even more annoyed. Forgive me. She just wanted to finish this as quickly as possible. Even if you go to hell, you're not getting saved. In desperation, Wander hurriedly summoned Draugr. Gretchen's current target was the Draugr, which had taken on the form of a knight before her. Treating Gretchen as an enemy, it raised the weapon in its hand. Of course, she felt no fear and met it head-on. What a trivial thing. Gretchen's power was utterly terrifying. Even the illusory Draugr struggled to resist. She swung and cut away whatever was obscuring her view. Get out of my path. After only a few moves, the illusory Draugr could no longer stand steady. Seeing things harder than expected, Gretchen frowned. She hated these formless monsters most. The sword hits but feels utterly hollow, worthless. With no choice, she pressed on. The Pact Maker was powering the Draugr, making the fight exhausting. After a moment's thought, she decided to deal with the Pact Maker first to make it quick. Gretchen eyed the weapon in her hand. She also wanted to test this out. Not wasting time, she leapt into the air. Her aim this time was to knock the illusory Draugr backward. Seizing the opportunity, she charged again. Earlier, she used a smashing move, and the skill effect still lingered on the next strike. She had planned this. It would still take effect even if she didn't slash straight down. Gretchen's gaze hardened, then let's see. She lunged with her sword at the illusory Draugr and struck it square in the face. It seemed she had succeeded. A sudden flash of light burst forth. A moment later, the entire illusory Draugr exploded into pieces. Everything returned to normal and a notification appeared. Draugr slain, one-on-one, next mission, capture the Pact Maker alive. Gretchen sighed and stepped toward Wander. The annoying obstacle has been cleared. She looked at the trembling man before her. Time to go sell salt, you vermin. He kept begging. I had no intention of touching Mabel's trade guild. If I knew Lord Gretchen had eyes on them, I'd never have done it even for money. She found it amusing. So this is the place I'll have to grind from the start of the game. Seeing her action, Wander hurriedly interjected. But Lord Gretchen, he didn't abandon hope to save his life. That one isn't an ordinary heretic, he's the most formidable one called a hero. He kept explaining, if you bring that head to the king, you'll be handsomely rewarded. At that moment, Oliver and the Inquisitor rushed over, demon-slaying knight. At the sight of her, Wander's face changed instantly. Damn heretic. Gretchen instantly brightened. Great, I was about to torture him for information, but now I have to kill him to save appearances. She chided the two of them. You arrived too late. The Inquisitor immediately took a defensive stance. That one is a sinner who sold body and soul to demons. She quickly drew on her energy. I will fight alongside you, demon-slaying knight. Seeing this, Wander turned to her in despair and looked at Gretchen. Did you really do that? Why? He kept swearing, how could you betray us? Gretchen remained calm, you'll be dead soon, my friend. But she didn't want to waste time explaining. I don't even know if I'm on your side, and what the hell is Gretchen, why should I care? Move on with the game, it'll explain itself later. She instantly signaled for Wander to die already. Not wanting to waste time, she raised her sword high. Her expression grew more terrifying. Vermin like you don't get to ask why, take death as your penance. And thus Gretchen completed the task brilliantly. Time gradually moved to the next morning. Everyone proceeded into the vast cathedral. Wander was also locked away in the dungeon by the others. Gretchen watched everyone's backs from behind. Confused, the Inquisitor turned back to look at her. She kept a cold demeanor, seeing that the pact maker with demons was still alive. At the time they returned last night, Wander trembled and cried out. Just as Gretchen was about to act, Oliver stopped her. She used her meager strength to try to prevent Gretchen from dealing with Wander. Irritated, Gretchen demanded, "Are you trying to block me?" Oliver snapped in anger. Calm down, capturing him alive is more beneficial than killing him. While Gretchen considered this, she continued, "A Draugr isn't an ordinary demon. Someone is surely backing the summoning." She tried to reason, be patient, there are more important matters than this momentary rage. Back to reality, Gretchen turned and walked away. Inside, she felt pleased. I knew it, I was going for the finishing blow. Usually you have to drain NPCs' health to capture them. A notification appeared, capture accomplished by draining a portion of the target's blood. If the target dies, it's a failure. Gretchen always remembered system quests. She suddenly realized something. The status panel popped up right after that, probably an event dialogue. Since the remake, many new systems were added. It's fun because it's familiar yet feels like a new game, but Gretchen walked forward slowly. System warnings kept appearing around her, surprising her. Up until now, all the warnings were about her blood steadily decreasing. Gretchen stepped into the room, wanting to tail inside to see the interrogation. But one thing puzzled her. The deeper she went into the temple, the denser the warning bar became. She had to reluctantly turn around and leave. What else could she do? She wondered to herself whether it's because the demon is parasitizing her. Probably a plot hint that will be explained later. Gretchen suddenly felt discouraged. After finishing the main priest quest, I'm banned from the temple, what's that about? The difficulty to farm this demon knight really is harsh. Thinking of that, she chuckled, but I like it. Gretchen moved forward slowly. If you wanted an easy game, you wouldn't have picked an RPG from the start. RPGs are the peak for professionals, got it. She suddenly felt excited. Of course, if you want smooth roleplay, your gameplay skill has to be top-notch. If you're a scrub who insists on role-playing, nobody will want to team up with you. Gretchen gloomily wondered whether, with a system like this, she'd have to play with NPCs until the very end of the game. She remembered Oliver and the Inquisitor. With them gone, it felt empty and a little lonely. There's nothing to do now. A side quest popped up, an evil hiding in the village, speak with the bishop. Gretchen immediately guessed that the main quest wouldn't progress until the interrogation was finished. She didn't know what to do next, where to go to kill time, when the Inquisitor's voice rang out, demon-slaying knight. She hurried over, where are you going? Let me come with you. She felt something off. Whenever you mention Cao Cao, he appears immediately. Don't tell me this is also arranged by the system. She glanced coldly at her, what about the interrogation? The Inquisitor turned and explained. Letting a hero personally interrogate cultists would be too lenient on them. So the Archmage told me to accompany and support the demon-slaying knight. Gretchen immediately realized she'd been stood up. She pictured Oliver whispering in her ear, watch the kid for me a bit. She curiously stepped closer. Do you have any other tasks to take care of? Gretchen's expression worsened. She was truly tired. She coldly demanded, do you only hunt demons when someone hands you information on a platter? As if realizing something, the Inquisitor's face suddenly changed. She beamed at him, such profound philosophy, I understand so much more now. Truly, someone of your caliber is different. Gretchen didn't know what to say, no, I'm just trying to level up. Gretchen closed her eyes in helplessness. This is the kind of NPC who flatters the player all the time early in the game, right? She continued studying the Inquisitor closely, chubby and talkative, kind of cute, but even if cute. In the end, she was still an introvert and found it a bit annoying, just complained about being lonely and now feels bothered. People's moods really change easily. The Inquisitor turned to her. But it's already dark, getting information now would be difficult. After thinking for a moment, Gretchen announced, I'm heading to the Adventurers Guild. She instantly became excited. Perfect, there will definitely be tons of quests there, surely some related to demons. You're really wise. She scolded herself. Damn, I'm stuck in this cold persona and can't drop character. It's not that I dislike her, but she was so desperate she almost cried. My character won't let me be kind to her, what a pain. The two of them walked off together. Cut to a large house. This place was considered the Adventurers Guild headquarters. Even Oliver remarked in surprise. He didn't expect the guild to be this useful. It's truly the practical experience of a veteran adventurer. She nodded in praise. I've learned a big lesson outside the Tower of Magic. Gretchen pulled out her badge. Any demon-related request, bring it here. Kiston glanced at the badge and immediately nodded. I've verified your adventurer badge, but demon-related cases are rare. Can you take something merely suspected of demon involvement? Gretchen looked at him coldly. Hand me the request, I'll read it myself. His face suddenly changed so you can read. But Kiston still pushed the request toward her. I only have one suspicious case and the cathedral's already involved. Reports of multiple unexplained deaths nearby. A strong putrid smell at the scenes. Reward 500,000 gal. Gretchen abruptly declared that case is already handled. Kiston was left dumbfounded. She suddenly felt annoyed. 500,000 gal, so no cut for her. The cathedral takes it all. After a moment's thought, Oliver suddenly asked if there were any reports of mysterious disappearances or anyone acting oddly. The Inquisitor added at once, it doesn't need to be an official quest, rumors work too, this is our adventurer badge. Kiston looked up at the two of them, are you two his teammates? He irritably warned, if you want to hear rumors, go ask around yourself or check the information board. He continued inspecting the badge. A judgment cleric and a sage of the Tower of Magic. Kiston's expression suddenly changed. Wait a moment, let me rack my brains back to before I was born. Gretchen was speechless. That reputation really packs a punch. The game is eerily realistic. He stared ahead, shouting repeatedly. I'm on the night watch and suddenly VIPs show up, hang in there me. Suddenly he looked up at the three of them. It's not that big a deal. Kiston went on, but recently adventurers are saying pickpocketing seems to have dropped off. His face grew serious. There are noticeably fewer beggars on the streets. Maybe there's some contagious disease spreading in the slums. Kiston didn't forget to add, I don't really pay attention to that area so I'm not sure. That's enough. Before he could finish, the Inquisitor slammed her hand on the table in anger. How dare they do such a thing? She couldn't contain herself. Do you mean there are still people gone astray who have forgotten God's grace? Seeing her like an angry steamed bun surprised Gretchen, the sugary bun full of demons. He thought for a moment, that's enough. This little setup is clearly a hint to accept the quest. He nodded. It seems there are a lot of demons around here. Kiston looked at him suspiciously. Demons? You mean right here in the city? Oliver suggested, I think this is worth investigating. If you learn anything new, report back to the cathedral, okay? He obediently nodded, understood. Gretchen glanced at his attitude. Night duty is tiring and then the higher-ups dump more work on you. Such a miserable fate, but whatever, tough it out. She turned and stepped outside. Luckily this guy is just a bunch of pixels, not some poor office worker in real life. The Inquisitor watched his retreating figure. Where are you going? He slowly replied to the slums. The two of them hurried after him. Oliver smiled and reminded her that's where the pickpockets and beggars gather. Let's go too, cleric. The Inquisitor's eyes sparkled as she looked at him. I've learned something from him again. She hurriedly ran after Gretchen. Let us come along, demon-slaying knight. He still felt uneasy. The constant blood drain in the cathedral was definitely an omen. Maybe later, due to some misunderstanding, I'll end up in a bloody fight with the cathedral for real. His quick pace forced the Inquisitor to run hard to keep up. Gretchen involuntarily recalled her angry tone. How dare you say that? He suddenly became despondent. What should he do? He's already feeling sad. His whole body trembled, yet he was sure there would be an epic cutscene there. Just thinking about it excited him. But it's still just a game. After all, how could I, when nothing's actually happened yet, get so worked up? Gretchen chastised herself. He reminded himself not to worry prematurely. When it happens, just enjoy it. The quest is in front of him. An ominous omen talked to the pickpocket and beggar. He was utterly exhausted. The quest name popped up at just the right time. The Inquisitor walked right beside him. She asked curiously, Hey, demon-slaying knight, do you know the way to the slums? Gretchen snapped at her, annoyed. What, seriously? Do I have to explain everything bit by bit? Aren't slums the same in every city? She thought to herself, just look for the cluster of red dots on the minimap. But she couldn't say that bluntly to her. Sorry. The Inquisitor wasn't offended. Yes, I'll observe and learn carefully. Gretchen thought inwardly. On the minimap, humans with bad intent or humanoid monsters all show up red. She glanced at the Inquisitor and thought, whatever. Gretchen assessed seriously. This girl shouldn't be going into the slums, it's not suitable at all. She reassured herself, it'll probably be fine, right? In a short time, the three of them reached the dilapidated slums. Gretchen was furious they actually set foot in the slums and demanded, what did you just say? Simon fumbled at a loss for how to explain. She was speechless at the scene before her. Her stubbornness turned out to be minor. The Inquisitor shouted angrily, swear before God and tell the truth. Her eyes grew furious. Are you sure the cathedral people took them? Not long ago, Gretchen, the Inquisitor, and Oliver followed the map's direction. Along the way, she watched everything strange around them. Even a shadow passing by caught her attention. The Inquisitor suddenly said to both of them that the atmosphere here felt spooky. Gretchen thought inwardly, the minimap is full of monsters everywhere. His face didn't change, he seemed to be pondering something. He calmly deduced, it's time. Suddenly Silly lunged straight at him. Immediately after, she hurriedly stood up to leave. Sorry. Before she could go, Gretchen stopped her. She coldly demanded, bold aren't you? Her hand began to tremble. Gretchen looked at Silly with contempt. Cooperate and you might keep your wrist. She thought to herself, I knew it. There'll be an event trigger, I anticipated it and even prepared lines. From his experience, RPGs usually mark monsters and quest targets clearly to distinguish them. But if there's no mark, it means they led themselves here. Thinking this, he sighed. He'd purposely taken the purse out of the stash as bait, but Silly cursed angrily, damn, that's unlucky. Immediately after, the Inquisitor slowly approached her. The Inquisitor's face gradually grew angry. She suddenly shouted, God teaches us not to covet others' possessions. By doctrine, a thief shall have their hand cut off. Oliver suddenly stepped forward to stop the judgmental cleric. He smiled and reminded her that upholding doctrine with discipline is right, but you can't always apply it mechanically. She was about to say more, but this was a criminal brazenly committing a crime before their eyes. Oliver laughed and explained that, as we've learned from the demon-slaying knight, sometimes mercy is needed. He suddenly remembered Gretchen's demeanor. Didn't she just say she wanted to learn his mercy? The Inquisitor listened quietly. Instead of rushing, approached this with a mindset of learning. It seemed the previous words made her think for a long time. The Inquisitor nodded decisively, I don't fully understand, but I'll follow this for now. So you must have your own reasons. Gretchen felt something was off. Wait, did an image of a Buddha just appear? She's a cleric. Is that religion really okay? Silly angrily shouted, how long do you plan to hold me? Just spit it out. What do you want me to do? That's when you noticed her. You ordered lead us to the head pickpocket in this area. Everyone set off to explore a new location. After many trials, they finally tracked down the so-called theft boss. The Inquisitor shouted angrily, did the cathedral people really take them? Simon nodded and recounted, yes, I swear my life on it. I don't know why you asked me. He was puzzled, aren't the ones taking people for reform supposed to be judgment clerics like you? The Inquisitor felt insulted, outraged. She yelled, reforming criminals is only allowed during the period set by the Grand Cathedral. How dare someone impersonate reform without permission? Gretchen still sensed something was wrong. Is that the issue? Oliver stepped forward to remind them that's not the focus here. She turned and demanded, what could be more important than this? His expression suddenly changed. He thought this was just the next part of a side quest. Things were more complicated than he thought. Apparently, the cathedral is central to the Demon Knight's main storyline. Gretchen immediately guessed, seems the main plot starts here. He stepped forward and demanded, when did this start and how many people have they taken? Tell us everything you know. Simon nodded and recounted, yes sir, this started about a month ago. They don't take many at once, sneaking off one or two at a time. His hands and feet began to fidget. It looked like human traffickers quietly abducting people. Simon added quickly, no, I didn't mean the cathedral actually did that. The cathedral wouldn't do such a thing, I was just using an analogy. Gretchen was very surprised, solid evidence, huh? The Inquisitor behind shouted, what did you just say? Oliver couldn't take it anymore, taking people. She stepped forward and questioned, does this happen regularly? Simon trembled all over, yes, regularly 2 or 3 times a week. The judgment clerics patrol at fixed hours. He hunched into a corner, so I always tell the kids not to wander out during those hours. It seemed Oliver had pieced something together. Could it be? Her face grew grave. Are they sacrifices for the demons? The Inquisitor stepped forward in shock. What the hell are you saying, sacrifices? The church would never do such a vile thing. Gretchen abruptly replied, would they? That sounds far too naive. He moved closer and gently placed a hand on her shoulder. His voice was very calm. Believe it or not, anything can happen in this world. Gretchen suddenly grew excited inside, the kind of story where the protagonist matures when the world they trusted collapses. She loved that trope. He smirked inwardly, cruel for a kid, but events like this add depth to a character. Oliver suddenly asked, where did they take them? Simon tried to recall, I only heard reports from the kids, so I have no idea, I'm clueless. Silly at the back suddenly spoke up, I know. At the sight of her, Gretchen was a bit surprised. She hadn't run away. Even though the ropes had been removed, she kept talking. I don't know everything right now, but I know someone who might know. Silly's expression turned serious at the mention of demons. This must be important, right? Gretchen suddenly stepped closer, frightening her. Her terrifying demeanor made the woman unable to meet her gaze. What did you say? It seemed he was in a good mood, so cute. I like characters like this kid too. Of course, Gretchen still acted cold. You ordered Silly to lead the way. After a long walk, Silly led everyone to a completely different place. Monsters here appeared in countless numbers. Gretchen paid no mind and kept moving forward. Feeling something odd, she glanced at the others. After thinking a moment, she suddenly said, "From here on is the real underground district." Silly turned to warn them, "So if you want to squeeze any information out, absolutely do not draw your swords. The people inside are very sensitive." She stared at the Inquisitor, especially at judgment clerics like her. They hate those from the cathedral with a passion. The Inquisitor was about to respond, "I don't bother with thieves." Oliver suddenly called out, "Judgment cleric." Silly continued guiding them, "I'm warning you, don't do anything stupid that'll get us all killed. I'm only helping because this is an important public matter." Seeing the two argue, Gretchen suddenly found it adorable. He glanced at Silly. "This NPC is a tsundere acting all clawwise. She's basically saying, it's not like I'm worried or anything." He drifted into his own thoughts. In a world with beastkin, I wonder if that analogy counts as racism. As everyone moved inside, Jashri silently observed everything. He continued to watch everyone's actions. A notification popped up. Hostile target detected within 20 meters. At the sight of the system notice, Gretchen went on alert. Silly hurriedly turned and asked, "What are you doing?" "I told you not to draw your sword." You calmly informed them, "If you don't want me to draw my sword." You've detected Jashari's presence, so you lot should lower the weapons pointed at me first. He had to nod in praise, just as expected, quick hands. Wasting no time, Jashari immediately took action. Within seconds, he appeared before everyone. He continued to assess the situation. Two-toned hair, armor on one arm. Jashari seemed very quick-witted and even wore an eye patch over his right eye, as if I wouldn't notice. He smiled and greeted, "Hello, Demon Slayer Knight." The Inquisitor looked at Gretchen curiously. "Demon Slayer Knight, he's an acquaintance of yours." You gripped your weapon tightly, then felt puzzled. "Who is this guy? Is he in the storyline? I don't see anyone like him in my biography." Jashari waved his hand to explain, "Don't misunderstand. I only know you unilaterally. You're pretty famous after all." Gretchen showed no expression, so that's how it's set up. You asked coldly, "Is there a problem? Were you waiting for me to praise you for recognizing me?" He revealed an excited smile. "Oh no, not at all. Actually, I'm the one who wants to ask what you people are doing here." He countered, "What wind blew you all to come sniffing around here?" Jashari continued to taunt, "Look, they even brought the damned cathedral crew with them. Planning to help with the kidnappings or what?" The Inquisitor reacted angrily. "What did that bastard just say?" Silly rushed in front of her to stop her. "No way. He said he came to investigate the people who were taken." Gretchen found it funny. "Just now I thought those two were like cats, and suddenly a cat beastman shows up and throws me off." She repeated to Jashri again, "He said this might be related to the demons." Of course he remained skeptical. "Wait, you mean demons took those kids?" His expression suddenly changed. "No way, then." Jashri grew doubtful. Could the cathedral be involved? Gretchen cut him off. "I don't know, didn't I say we came to investigate the truth?" Seeing things were tense, Oliver stepped forward. "Listen, I know the cathedral's reputation is at rock bottom now, but we're outsiders from another place investigating this cathedral." She looked Jashari straight in the eye. "Please cooperate, shouldn't we try to prevent more casualties?" He stood there thinking for a long time. After that, it seemed he reached a decision. Jashari snapped his fingers to signal his subordinates. When the men appeared, he reminded them, "Go report this case." They were surprised to hear that, "You're going in there yourself." Jashari nodded, "Of course, if things go south I can still slip out." The men obediently replied, "Understood." A system notification appeared. An ominous sign talked to the pickpocket, "Go to where the kidnapped people were taken." Gretchen thought to herself, "The Thieves Guild, does this NPC hang here often or run the guild intel?" He sighed helplessly, "Looks familiar, but I can't place it, probably because it's dark." Jashari told everyone, "All right, follow me." He didn't forget to add, "There's no concept of waiting around here." Those words left the three momentarily stunned. Oliver sighed and complained, "I can't believe at this age I'm still running around like this." She added, "But I won't hold you back, hurry." The Inquisitor smiled and turned, "Thanks, great mage." Gretchen had to admit that's a solid buff. You wondered to yourself, this quest looks like it pays well. You had a bad feeling, wonder if it'll be finished before logout time. The scene shifted to the bustling commercial district. Jashari hid in a narrow alley to observe the situation. He reminded everyone, "Over there." The Inquisitor curiously asked, "They led people in there?" Looking at the stall ahead, she grew suspicious. A vegetable shop. Oliver voiced his thought, "I sense a barrier. Seems like something set up by a very skilled hand." Jashri turned to praise, "Not bad. There's a very strong barrier in the cellar and warehouse below." Gretchen's expression remained unchanged. You looked at the system notice. Go to where the kidnapped people were taken, find a way to infiltrate and trace the kidnapped people's whereabouts. Thinking to himself, with the quest updated like this, it's definitely the right place. Oliver still felt something was off. This barrier is just for show, so breaking it shouldn't be too hard. Gretchen suddenly asked, there's nothing about sneaking in the quest log, right? The system seemed to reply, correct. You strode forward, I'm going in. Jashri reacted immediately, are you crazy? He warned angrily, the guards will swarm in like ants. Besides, we don't even know what the hell is inside and you don't care, it's not my problem. Gretchen was ready for the next challenge. You said coldly, kidnapping is much worse than trespassing, forget it. Gretchen walked straight ahead, if you're scared fall back. Everyone watched his retreating figure. Too much has happened and it's wearing him out. When he's tired he blurts out whatever he thinks. He wondered to himself, since they're NPCs they'll automatically follow me, right? Perplexed, Jashri turned and asked, does he always take such reckless risks? Oliver laughed and explained, we've only known each other for less than a week. She said confidently, but I think he's got the strength and guts to do it. The Inquisitor calmly reported, just yesterday we captured someone who made a pact with a demon right in the cathedral. His eyes grew suspicious. What an actual flesh and blood demon pact maker, she nodded firmly, exactly, and the Inquisitor's gaze turned resolute. I don't want to believe it, but if the cathedral is colluding with a demon pact maker, and if they're gathering real sacrificial victims. Seeing the situation, Jashri warned urgently, there's no time left. The Inquisitor brushed past him. If you're scared, hide in a corner, kid, guiding us here was enough of your duty. Oliver smiled and chatted with her. In such little time your thinking has become much sharper, cleric. She replied, I only realized it by observing and reflecting on the Demon Slayer Knight's actions. Jashri stood still watching their departing figures. He sighed and held his head. Good heavens, what gives them the confidence to rush in unprepared? I don't know, forget it. But it seemed he was still hesitating. After thinking it over, Jashri decided to go inside anyway. At this rate I'll probably shorten my lifespan. As soon as he stepped inside the house, Gretchen already felt weary. You lot. He looked around the place. Are you really not going down? He looked a bit helplessly at the people he detained. I've finished preparing to go down to the cellar. Gretchen kicked the cellar door open. A staircase leading down appeared. Gretchen thought with interest an underground passage. The smell clearly signaled an upcoming area boss fight. After clearing this, logging out would be perfect. The Inquisitor exclaimed in surprise, my god, have you already cleared everything? The other two admired, you truly never hold back. Gretchen ordered them, if you're unnerved then fall back. How tiresome idiots, I've waited long enough. The Inquisitor tried to call after her, no, please wait a moment. Gretchen silently went down the stairs. You froze and thought to yourself, what is this? A restless feeling, Inquisitor followed hesitantly and asked, this is strange, could it be? I sense a very strong demonic aura coming from below. Inquisitor turned back to urge the other two, hurry up. Looks like they're planning something down there. Oliver immediately cast a spell, got it, move quickly. Gretchen thought to herself, come to think of it, this is my first time grouping in this game. How realistic are these companion NPCs, I wonder. You led the team down, this is getting interesting. Above the hidden entrance, vegetables were scattered all over the floor. Deep inside the concealed passage, the group reached a door at the corridor leading to the cellar. The lock was cleaved in half by a surge of power. Gretchen kicked the next door open. The guys inside started to panic. No, the summoning isn't done yet. Damn it, why now of all times, hero? Jashri glared at the opponents with a cold stare. Oliver closed his eyes and began to channel magic. Gretchen condensed lifeblood in the palm of her hand. Inquisitor shouted loudly, that's right. The executioner who will deal with you has arrived. One of them decided to stall. We just need to hold out a little longer. A mass of dark energy coalesced in that man's palm. Rise. Slaves of the abyss appear. Skeletons, low-level fiends born from white bones soaked in demonic aura, appeared. Oliver asked the man beside him, can you back me up with the incantation? He agreed, that's easy. Inquisitor fought with undying faith, God is always with us. Gretchen surged forward from the rear. You declared victory will belong to my blade. Alone, Gretchen swept away those fiends. Glory belongs to heaven. You said confidently, I won't let the front line break. The Inquisitor was deeply moved by this display. She exclaimed, you're incredible, but this is getting out of hand. Determination appeared in the Inquisitor's eyes. Although I'm weak, I'm trained to hold the shield and defend the front line. Gretchen secretly resented, no, those things you kill don't give me any experience. But this quest, don't tell me it's. A voice rang out, I have prepared flesh and blood for you. Be born in the darkness and bring death to this land. Higher-ranked skeletons were summoned. The hooded leader then said, Gretchen, you will pay for your betrayal. Make him the first sacrificial offering to the darkness. A barrage of dark energies lunged toward Gretchen. The two remaining teammates worried, no night, sir. Even the Inquisitor focused on Gretchen. A cold flash lit up in Gretchen's eyes. A deep blue aura swirled around where you stood, forcing those dry bones to remain at the edge. Inquisitor rushed in to slash them apart. I'm coming to save you now. Gretchen shot upward, escaping that gloomy aura. He still appeared completely unscathed. The Inquisitor exhaled in relief, just as predicted. This is turning out well. You brought your sword down where those corrupt hands reached up. I'll clear you all out at once. The blade plunged in, dark energy seeping up, an earth-shattering impact. The intent of the sword was mighty, like a celestial thunderbolt. The Inquisitor had to use her shield to block the falling debris. She exclaimed in awe, terrifying, truly an overwhelming power. Wander stood stunned, unable to believe it. This is. He coldly called your name, Gretchen. You radiated killing intent. Your gaze, like a bullet, glanced at the foe. In your pupils appeared the terrified look of Wander. Blood trickled from his eye sockets as oppressive pressure descended. Wander had poured all his strength into summoning a demon. Kill it immediately, hurry, kill that man. Gretchen broke through the encirclement of dry bones and charged forward. He fled wildly, no, back away. Save me, I don't want to die. One of them said anxiously, wait, if we run this way then. You declared, fall into the deepest pits of hell, you vermin. You swung your sword at the whole group. Fresh blood spurted everywhere. Their bodies collapsed to the ground, lying in pools of blood. You were absorbing the blood energy. Gretchen gasped, damn, I thought I was a goner. A notification popped up. A short but intense solo battle occurred. You've received the wounded status, your HP has decreased. Numerous similar alerts followed. You thought to yourself in awe, I didn't expect this skill to be so OP. Getting such a flashy move right upon joining the game, who knows? What kind of difficulty would a game have to be to do this? A transcendent game giving out great skills for free. The difficulty will make you curse even after you've exhausted everything. But what the hell are my teammates doing? The staff in one member's hand began to radiate a brilliant glow. The Inquisitor charged as well. I will complete my part of the quest. Her eyes showed burning determination. The Inquisitor dashed toward the enemy at top speed. She smashed her shield into his face. Accept your punishment. Jashari asked impatiently, how much longer do I have to cover for her mage? Oliver replied, I'm about to put on a show too. A magic formation appeared on the ceiling, carrying a huge amount of mana. She raised her staff high and commanded everyone take cover. Mana washed over the area, annihilating the wicked. Blue flames scorched them. They screamed, it's too hot, we're burning, help. Gretchen glanced indifferently at them being consumed by the great fire. You thought to yourself, huh, did I accidentally blurt out my thoughts? I didn't mean to make them feel guilty at first. Jashari exclaimed in amazement, it's truly a gathering of talents here. He asked in disappointment, is that it? Inquisitor reported, Knight, it seems we've cleared the remnants here. Oliver said regretfully, if only we could capture one or two alive. Gretchen's gaze flicked to one side. You walked over to this guy, looks like there's a suitable one here. Wander snarled, you'll regret this, Gretchen. Gretchen's hand was pointing down. You coldly ordered, shut up, you vermin. My name isn't something for scum like you to use. Gretchen grabbed his collar and lifted him up. Suddenly he curled his lip in a cold smile. Wander laughed maniacally. He replied, suit yourself, everything goes as you wish, for we are merely insects. We are nothing. However, don't forget our king still. He raised his wound-ridden hand, craving you. Behind them came the sound of fresh blood dripping. The Inquisitor immediately sensed danger. She shouted a warning, dodge, demon-slaying knight. A massive surge of demonic aura is coming from that direction. A huge blood aura was appearing behind Wander. You gritted your teeth and tried to withstand the oppressive force. A torrent of blood energy shot up. Gretchen was slammed backward. The Inquisitor rushed over and used her shield to catch you. She asked if you were okay. Gretchen scolded, are your eyes just for show? You rubbed your aching body, my back. Even with reduced pain sensitivity, it still hurts like hell. Jashari was speechless, exclaiming, my god, what nonsense is this? Can we even handle this? The summoned monster was a knocker, a water-dwelling demon that drags people up from wells to eat them. Its teeth carry a deadly toxin. They're facing something terrifying, Gretchen thought, somewhat worrying. But since I didn't get the task to stop the summoning, this must be a mandatory event. The knocker's gaze glanced toward them. Its mouth opened wide and lunged. Its body stretched long toward them. Inquisitor rushed ahead, everyone hide behind me. She used her shield to block it, pleading, oh lord, please grant me strength to fight these evils. The knocker's head was ramming hard against the shield. Cracks had formed in the ground beneath her feet from the pressure. The Inquisitor let out a fierce shout for morale. For the moment, it still couldn't break the siege. Gretchen thought she's blocking that with pure strength. What a muscular beast. Sure, she's strong, but couldn't she have just sidestepped? Jashari spoke up, is just standing there taking hits really the right move? The young lady mage, don't you know anything about this creature? Like its weakness we can target while she holds it, she revealed it's a demon called Knocker. Its teeth are lethally poisonous. And its weakness? Gretchen thought, but she already tanked that in such a badass way. Then I should do my part and deal damage, right? You shot toward the monster's weak point, the head. At the same time as Oliver's guess, its head. Gretchen was closing in on the knocker's body. A murderous glint flashed in your eyes. A surge of potent aura slashed down on its head, devastating it. The Inquisitor stared dumbfounded as fresh blood spurted before her eyes. The other two were just as shocked. A torrent of blood gushed from the creature. But then Gretchen noticed something was wrong. Bang, the loud noise rang out. The monster's head had been severed, the metallic scent of blood filled the air, and Gretchen stood unscathed. Wander, astonished that you defeated the beast so easily, stammered. What, how could he do that with a single move? A girl in Wander's group screamed in disbelief at you. Knocker's scales are as hard as steel and he cut it off in one strike. At that moment Gretchen's mind was as chaotic as theirs. I'm wondering too. But outwardly you kept a calm, collected demeanor. Most players play this game for the thrill of killing bosses, enjoying dismemberment based on blood loss or destroying specific parts. For example, the Knocker has certain weak points that let players defeat it more easily. But beating it is by no means simple. No one expected the head to be blown off by just a skill like this. You stood dumbfounded staring at its head. Gretchen stared at the monster's head, pondering in the original game this boss wasn't so easy to kill with a single headshot. What were the developers thinking designing it this way? Is it really over or will some hidden mechanic emerge from the head? While you focused on examining it, the monster's body suddenly moved. Hearing the sound, you looked up and suddenly the monster's tail whipped toward you. A loud crash echoed through the dungeon. Jashari suddenly appeared in front of you, worried. My god, Lord Gretchen, seeing him intervene to protect you, you were a bit surprised. Jashari anxiously turned to look at you. You should watch the blind spots too, Gretchen thought in a panic as you looked flustered. Oh, I was distracted by the detached head. Nice save, NPC. Jashari stepped back to where Gretchen stood, quietly observing your reaction. Your eyes darkly studied Jashari as you mentally recalled the game's storyline. But under the light, the NPC looked. You were now filled with excitement seeing Jashari's appearance clearly. Isn't this the standard look of the thief class representative? Which branch was it again? I've forgotten. Jashari, noticing your slightly embarrassed stare and sweating, stammered, haha, you're not the kind to be hurt just by a tale. Am I butting into things for no reason? Please don't glare at me like that, I'll step back now. Saying that, he moved increasingly away from you. Gretchen, seeing his fearful behavior, felt awkward and thought inwardly, no, inside he's shy, but outside he keeps a cold, silent face. Fine, let it be. Whether we let him join the party can be decided later. You turn to look at the monster, gripping your sword hilt tightly. Seeing you say nothing, Jashari sensibly edged backward. We need to finish clearing this filthy thing. Now, even with its head severed, the monster isn't dead. It can still easily stand and look at you, the purple fluid forming a fake head for it. The system announced, Knocker's head lost. The demon had been eyeing its sacrificial prey, writhing for the last time, hit its true weak point. Suddenly the monster thrashed violently. The fake head made of fluid couldn't hold shape. In this world, NPCs usually assume its weak point is the head. Long story short, it's a bit complicated to explain. But its real weakness is a reverse scale. That scale under its chin is considered the weak spot of Eastern dragons. Creatures in heroic legends also have this reverse scale as a weakness. Usually it doesn't show at first and only becomes visible after they lose a certain amount of blood. You dashed quickly toward where the monster stood. Watching its desperate thrashing, you coldly muttered, clinging to life stubbornly, how useless. Your cold voice rang out, all your struggling ends here. At the same time, the sword in your hand was enveloped by a deep purple light, releasing an eerie energy. Your head filled with mixed thoughts, normally stabbing the reverse scale finishes it. For dramatic effect, a piercing thrust would be so cool. Just thinking that idea, you acted. Your low voice boomed, the earth shakes. The power on your sword began to condense, compressed into a brilliant purple orb of light. From the orb formed a sharp sword that pointed straight at the knocker. The pressure blade created a strong wind rippling through the air. You suddenly froze and looked down, You hadn't had time to unleash your move. The demon had already collapsed to the ground sometime before, its reverse scale now a huge gaping hole. The floor was now stained with spreading pools of blood. Gretchen frowned as she observed the monster. Its body was now glittering and glowing on the ground, making you wonder, what was that just now? I clearly meant to use Earth Burst. I put every remaining skill point into Earth Burst, so I lack the skill points to learn the piercing thrust. But it clearly activated just as I wished I had piercing thrust. What is this, a recognition error or a game bug? A hurried voice suddenly cut through your unfinished thoughts. The Inquisitor bound Wander tightly as he writhed on the ground and angrily said, how could you do that to the king? You must not betray the king. Her resolute gaze turned to you. Demon Knight, will you execute this one with your own hand? You thought to yourself, finish this task first, report the bug after escaping. Gretchen said seriously, there's still one more enemy. Your brows twitched slightly as your calm voice rang out, fine, keep babbling. Saying that, you slowly walked to where he writhed on the ground. Let's see how much of my wrath you can endure. Wander watched in terror as you approached. The sharp blade in your hands slowly pressed to his neck. Wander was terrified to the extreme. Trembling tears fell as he stared at the blade inches away. Your voice dropped full of coldness. I myself am curious too. Oliver, seeing your anger, softened her tone. Wait, Knight, Gretchen frowned in annoyance at her interruption. Now you want to butt in again. Hearing your irritation, she sighed and explained. Please kill him as cleanly as possible. We have to submit evidence to the church. Oliver urged from behind you. Come on, hurry up. That guy's been talking nonstop and grating my ears. He heard the impatience in her voice and a cold sweat soaked his shirt. Gretchen didn't respond to her words. You only furrowed your brow and stared fixedly at his face. Quick as lightning, you finished him with a fatal slash. His head came off the neck and rolled a few times on the ground. The dungeon no longer echoed with his cowardly pleas. The blood from his body pooled into a puddle. They all looked coldly at his head. Oliver said flatly, now hurry so everyone can join in comforting the souls of the sacrifices. Suddenly Joshua hesitated and said sorry. The Inquisitor and Oliver turned to look. Now he respectfully asked them, may I ask a favor? You hesitated and said, we only want to keep one alive. Now the dungeon was full of corpses strewn everywhere. Joshua spoke sadly, many of my comrades and relatives lie among these bodies. His voice was mournful. He did not dare look up at them and said, I want to give them at least a chance for vengeance and a proper send-off. The Inquisitor decisively said, your situation is truly pitiful, but the law does not allow personal vengeance. Instead, the Grand Church will hold a requiem for the victims. Gretchen said nothing and coldly turned away. Oliver watched you leave. Joshua cut in with a low voice. Ah, a requiem organized by the very church that killed our families, how consoling. The Inquisitor, hearing the sarcasm in his tone, angrily said, aren't you aware that those who worship demons are just degenerates? At this moment Gretchen stood before a man trembling among the corpses. She grew irate, her tone rising toward Joshua. Other churches will thoroughly investigate this, and the requiem for the victims will be conducted with the utmost solemnity. He sneered at her explanation. Yes, that sounds convincing. You're not going to bury them with the demon worshippers and label them thieves, are you? The Inquisitor, angered by his increasing insolence, snapped, insolent, you know we only punish them under theft laws. The two's argument showed no sign of stopping. Hearing the Inquisitor's absurd words, he could no longer hold back and angrily said, make the wronged spirits pay for their crimes, how solemn. She fired back repeatedly, are you defending theft by using the dead souls as an excuse? Joshua, unable to endure her nonsense, gritted his teeth in anger. Veins stood out on his face as he ground out each word. Who's using what as an excuse? Suddenly a figure was flung hard to the ground with a painful cry. The abrupt arrival made them both start in shock. Gretchen stepped closer to them and said coldly, take him away. Hearing you, she snapped, Knight. You frowned at her. If you had arrested the pickpockets by the book, you would have easily found these vermin. She, seeing your reproach, hesitated and explained, well that. You turned to Joshua and said, keep this in mind for me. Your voice continued coldly, if that demon tries to flee, you'll have to offer your own neck with it. Joshua, unmoved by the threat, replied seriously, all right, that certainly won't happen. A notification popped up. Ominous omen, eliminate all enemies, move to the church, find the traitor within the church. Seeing the messages, you drew your sword from your back. Gretchen inwardly rejoiced. Good, the main quest is nearly complete. The Inquisitor glared angrily at you. Gretchen felt a bit embarrassed under her stare. Your mind panicked. Don't look at me like that, little kimchi pancake. This totally fits my character setup, and I need to raise rapport with my future teammates. You brooded, even though the pain has lessened, the body still aches stiffly. You just want a hot bath and to flop into bed. You should log out now and rest. As that urge to rest appeared in your mind, without hesitation Gretchen smiled faintly and said, log out. A red notification suddenly appeared, command unavailable. Seeing that message, you froze. Thinking it was a minor technical glitch, you patiently tried again, log out. The red message reappeared, command unavailable. Only then did you realize the seriousness of the situation and stood there dumbfounded. Log out, log out, log out. Meanwhile, the Inquisitor stood frozen before you. Gretchen anxiously read each notification, command cannot be executed. A long red alert box appeared, all entries listing commands that could not be executed. Gretchen stared blankly at each red command line. Your mind seemed to shut down. You could only stand motionless, staring at each red notification. Suddenly you realized a grave problem. Cold sweat ran down your body, an inability to log out in a virtual reality game. Are they all insane? Panic flooded your mind. If news of a bug like this leaked, the server would surely be shut down immediately. Or maybe commands are locked because I'm in the dungeon. A voice abruptly cut through your frantic thoughts. Night. The Inquisitor suddenly turned to Oliver and asked, did you see anything? She looked back toward where you stood and murmured, I don't see anything. Suddenly she widened her eyes in astonishment. Oliver's words came to her. Normally someone possessed by a demon loses their mind and becomes an empty shell. But instead that kid seems to have subdued the demon, taken control, and is using its power. The Inquisitor suddenly halted, her hands clenched the mace, her face full of caution. Once she regained composure, she gripped the mace with both hands. At that moment Gretchen unexpectedly turned and began to walk away. She froze at your movement. She asked blankly, "Where are you going?" Your cold gaze swung to her. Gretchen snarled each word. "I'm going to purge the corrupted who conspired with the demons." They stood behind you, silently watching your actions. Meanwhile, you kept tapping the air, repeating, "Log out, log out." Oliver, seeing your strange behavior, turned to speak with her. His condition does look unusual, but do you sense any demonic aura? The Inquisitor hesitated, observed, then said, "No, not seriously concerning, however. Right now you're just focused on finding a way back home." Gretchen had no time to heed their words. You only repeated two words, "Log out, log out." The Inquisitor, worried by your state, said you must still be struggling fiercely with it. They both stared at your retreating back. The Inquisitor's gaze was resolute, as if wanting to help you. Jashri also noticed your odd behavior and asked in concern, "Is something wrong with you, Knight?" Oliver, hearing him, gently explained it's hard to draw conclusions in haste right now. Hearing Oliver, he smiled happily. "That's right, you once said you hadn't followed him long. He doesn't seem like the type to share about himself." Oliver sighed at his carefree words. "You really have keen observational skills." Pleased by her compliment, Jashri beamed. "I'm just a lowly thief. Making a living depends on reading faces like this." The Inquisitor heard his nonchalant remarks from afar and angrily turned to glare at him. Oliver, seeing her anger, intervened. "Watch your words." Feeling the killing intent from her, Jashri fearfully slipped away. "Oh, I misspoke." Oliver said seriously, "Anyway, unless you plan to use divine power to escort him, it's best to finish off someone who made a pact with a demon before taking him along. Who knows what tricks they'll pull." The man you were restraining lay unconscious and motionless. Jashri looked at her and said flatly, "Would it be dangerous to sever all his tendons in his limbs and his tongue?" The dungeon floor was stained with splotches of blood. The two of them walked behind Gretchen while talking. Oliver said, "A demon's power is completely different from ordinary magic. That was at best a temporary fix. Do not let your guard down." Jashari replied seriously, "I'll finish him before sunrise, so don't worry." Oliver turned to the Inquisitor and said, "Let's head up, hero." She started at his words and replied, "Ah, yes." She turned toward the exit of the dungeon. At this moment, the Inquisitor was approaching the stairway up. Her eyes were full of determination as she looked upward. "Please guide us, walk with us on the righteous path." Meanwhile, vegetables lay scattered and rolling on the floor. Sorman Marketplace, the sun was slowly sinking below the horizon. They were stepping out of a greengrocer's shop. Jashari silently observed you and said indifferently, "We thieves never forget a grudge." Gretchen heard him and continued to walk calmly. Receiving no response, Jashri continued, "And we will never forget the favors shown to us. I will repay this debt for sure." Gretchen replied coldly, "It's unnecessary." Seeing your polite manner, Jashri hurried to fall into step beside you. He smiled and said, "Even if you say it's not needed, I'll do it anyway." Gretchen again declined his offer. "I said it's not necessary." You were truly panicking inside. Aside from logging out, you didn't need anything else. A notification appeared. "Ill omen, eliminate all enemies. Move to the temple, find the traitors within the temple." Seeing it, you cursed under your breath. "Now's not the time for this quest board to pop up. Let me log out already, this crappy game." Jashari sadly crossed to another street. "If you hate this place so much, I'll go ahead." You paid no attention to his muttering and kept spiraling in chaotic thoughts. The logout feature was completely broken, yet the AI responsiveness was insanely good. You wearily stared at the notification board and said, "Log out, log out." You'd already opened the settings and hammered the button, but it didn't work. A message appeared, "Command cannot be executed." Your hand kept pressing the logout button to no avail. Now you began to feel frightened. If you truly couldn't log out, what would happen to you? You lived alone and you're a webtoon author with a leisurely schedule. No deadlines, so no colleagues showing up to check on you. You'd already bragged to friends about playing Legend of Heroes, so they certainly wouldn't bother contacting or visiting you for a long time. Clearly, if you got stuck inside the gaming device without specialized life maintenance fluid, you suddenly remembered, right, the hardware of the device was still functioning fine. VR gaming systems always have safety features built in to handle emergencies. Now you could only panic and shout to the sky. "Emergency protocol, force shut down the game pod." A horrifying red message appeared before your eyes. "Command cannot be executed." You could only clutch your head in fear, damn it. The people behind you silently watched your frantic behavior. Gretchen could only scream, "Log out, force shut down already. Damn this shitty horrible game, damn it, shut it down now." Oliver looked a bit panicked at your frantic behavior. "What's going on, Demon Knight? Talk to me." The Inquisitor, seeing your frantic actions, rushed over in alarm. Why are you acting so crazily? Can't you hear me? The guards heard the yelling and hurried over. Who's there? Oliver grew more worried as the situation worsened. Oh no, the guards. She saw the guards' faces darken as they turned to look at you. She said anxiously, if he goes berserk and starts slaughtering people here. She pressed her lips together. Up until this moment I'm completely in the dark, I know nothing. It seems there are many things I haven't realized yet, but that's just how life is. She stepped forward with resolve. Then she gathered herself and leapt. As for what I knew, I obviously didn't know before. She tightened her grip on the mace and aimed it at where you stood. The Inquisitor's scream seemed to tear the sky. Wake up. She slammed the mace hard into your face. Her powerful blow made you stare in shock. What the hell? She looked down from above and said calmly, as expected, you don't go down that easily. Only then did your head clear. What the hell is this? What kind of shitty script is this? Why is the progression being forced like this, as if this is a stage scene? So she's really a demon worshipper. Her cold gaze remained fixed on you without blinking. You muttered angrily inside. Why would she suddenly do this to me, and why isn't my pain suppression working anymore? Damn. The Inquisitor smiled at your dazed look. She spoke gently. Anyway, it's good that your right arm seems to have calmed down. Your left cheek was bruised by her strike and your nose started bleeding. Hearing her, you asked in a daze what. The Inquisitor blushed and explained, wasn't the demon you were suppressing about to rebel earlier? Saying this, she felt a bit proud at being able to help you. Gretchen stood up calmly, but when she heard that remark you felt even more bewildered. Your mind suddenly stopped working. She struck you firmly to show wholehearted trust. Don't worry, I don't doubt you. Her jade-green eyes reflected your figure and she said confidently, I believe you'll eventually control that demon, and you will never yield to it. She tightened her weapon and said with conviction, so if this happens again, please trust me. The Inquisitor declared firmly, her presence blazing behind her. Until he comes to his senses, I'll buy you time at all costs. You couldn't help but be suspicious of her actions. What is she babbling about? You turned to Oliver, your mind in turmoil. Why is she suddenly acting like this? Explain it to me, mage. You saw Oliver's awkward expression and a hint of doubt. Seriously, what's going on? She looked at you and asked gently, are you really all right? Hearing her, you suddenly remembered you understood the context, but why did it erupt like this? They kept blurting out whatever they wanted. Is this pre-programmed dialogue? You said irritably, are her eyes just for decoration? You suddenly recalled. So while you were struggling with the logout button, the demon in your arm had been trying to revolt. Gretchen looked down at his right arm. A sinister voice suddenly rang out, you'll do very well. The image of it trying to control your body surfaced, and when you remembered you couldn't help but become angry, the trauma of almost having your body taken over by a demon should have resurfaced now. My immersion got completely ruined just because of this stupid game bug. Usually I'd pick up on stuff like this instinctively without thinking, you said coldly. I don't have time to waste on idiots who don't even know that. Oliver calmly cut you off. No, even if I dislike it, I still need a clear answer. She stepped closer to you, voice steady. Is it truly? She bowed behind you and spoke respectfully. Is that right arm of yours truly all right? Your gray pupil glanced at her. Oh ho. You said sarcastically. What does that suddenly wound your sense of hypocrisy? Oliver, unbothered by your rude remark, calmly explained. I didn't mean that. We're just worried about what you're suppressing. You growled angrily. I will continue hunting and exterminating demons, nothing more. Your cold gaze flicked to Oliver. You clenched your right arm, teeth grinding. I don't care what you think. I'm only with you because we share the goal of destroying demons. Instead of wasting words on that nonsense, you should be doing your job and have killed another demon by now. As you said this, you didn't turn to face them. Seeing your stubbornness, Oliver said evenly, I'm asking whether there's a chance you might become that demon. You ground your teeth, the strike on your left cheek had left a bruise. Gretchen said irritably, obviously not. The Inquisitor cut into the tense exchange, clearly that would never happen, Master Mage. Oliver lowered his head when she spoke. She placed a hand over her heart to show her conviction. As I said, I fully trust his reason and will. Because humans cannot be perfect alone, I was taught not to forget to trust one another and move forward together. Given that, I believe this meeting and companionship must mean something. The sunset bathed her peacefully. Her green eyes looked at you with certainty. So like the gods, I will wait and always stand by you. I will endure it. You said nothing, silently observing her and listening to her words of trust until he awakens. Hearing her confessions, you pressed your lips together, speechless. After a while, regaining your composure, you exhaled wearily. You turned away, leaving a parting remark. Your eyes still haven't improved much, have they? The Inquisitor immediately replied, Oh my eyes, I don't have any particular injury. Thanks for worrying about me. Oliver spoke up to explain to her, I don't think he meant your wound. Hearing Oliver, she hesitated. Is that so? Well then. Suddenly she looked toward you. At that moment, Gretchen took advantage of her distraction and ran off. Seeing you run, she shouted after you, "Hey, where are you going? At least say something before you run off." You ran while thinking, "I'm really going to die. Even if this is part of the plot, we haven't known each other long. If they keep giving me endless goodwill and trust like this, then an otaku RPG addict like me, will end up offering my soul." Inside you're cheerful, but reason tells you to keep running. Whatever's log out, eventually it will work anyway. The Inquisitor smiled and chatted with Oliver. "We should chase after him." "Master Maid," she sighed, "he's running again, truly elder abuse." She then closed her eyes. Oliver said evenly, "Is this really okay, hero?" The Inquisitor, surprised, asked what he meant. Oliver explained, "The power we saw from him underground far exceeds anything we've witnessed before, but at the same time it's extremely uncontrollable. If he were consumed by the demon and went berserk, could we actually stop him? To be honest, I'm not confident at all." Oliver looked at her seriously. "She seems to have a lot on her mind, hero." The Inquisitor hesitated at that. She bowed her head and said, "A moment ago I saw fear in the demon knight's eyes. What else could be making him afraid? Surely it's the presence of the demon in his arm threatening his mind. He looked so pitiful as the demon tried to control his body." The Inquisitor said solemnly, "Do not doubt the light within him and do not be afraid, for the wicked will exploit that opening to gnaw at us. I lack the ability to purify his arm, nor do I have the power to redeem his soul. I don't even possess the rhetoric to offer him comforting words. The more I speak, the weaker and more insecure I feel." Yet her gaze remained full of resolve. "Even so, I still want to soothe the demon knight's fear. I want to believe in his goodwill, the part of him he has protected from the demon. With the combat strength I possess, I will defend his will." Oliver, hearing her confession, smiled faintly. She nodded slightly and turned to follow her. "Although imperfect, perhaps I should try to contribute what little I can." The Inquisitor, excited, said she looked forward to cooperating with her. The two of them headed toward where you had fled. "Why won't they follow me anymore?" A notification appeared. "Ill omen, move to the temple, uncover the traitors within the temple. I can't enter the temple alone." Sunlight shone down on the magnificent temple. Inside the temple, two figures stood on the familiar dais. The people inside the temple saw you leaning calmly against the wall and whispered angrily, "Why would the messenger of the gods bring along someone so filled with dark aura? He doesn't even bother to hide that terrifying demonic energy." Hearing the commotion below, the Inquisitor slammed her mace on the table and said, "Silence." She spoke solemnly. "Has everyone gathered?" The head bishop said gravely, "Yes. Although we couldn't contact 7 members, everyone else is present." Her sharp gaze swept over those below. "Very well. From this moment, in the name of a heresy judge, the trial officially begins." Those standing below were astonished and speechless at her words. "Everyone will be judged for their sins, and those proven innocent will be set free." You, standing beside them, slowly drew your sword. Her voice rang cold. "Those who profane the holy by posing as servants of the gods will face the righteous judgment they deserve." She glared down at the terrified crowd below. The next moment, the Inquisitor smashed the stage to pieces. She leapt down and began slaughtering the traitors in the temple. Those men were taken aback by this action, panicked, and started fleeing. They cried, "Damn, our plan has been exposed. Run this way, there's only one exit here." Gretchen shouted, "Come here, you vermin," and cut into them with a flurry of slashes. Extremely dangerous gashes appeared across their bodies. A moment later, every one of them was finished. Gretchen was drenched completely in blood, wearing a wicked expression as she advanced on them. They recoiled in fear. No one could believe their eyes. They shouted, "David, run, find another way out." But our Gretchen spared no one. A little blood even flowed into his mouth then. He thought and said, "A realistic game like this is great, but it's wrecking my palate. I'm afraid if I open my mouth I'll taste blood. No way. Also, what is the game company trying so hard to show with this scene?" At that moment, someone appeared. It was the green-haired guy who said, "Yep, I'm here." But when he saw our Gretchen, his hair stood on end. Gretchen said, "What are you doing here with us? I already handed that filthy demon over to you. Why are you here now? Are you here to confess your sins?" "Oh Lord, that's impossible for me. Instead, I brought you 7 small gifts. I told you I never abandoned my benefactors." And these were the very people our Inquisitor had summoned, but who had not come. He said, "So do you still need these benefactors now?" Hearing that, Gretchen grew a little angry and said, "No, I need this." Then he began imagining a green cat catching mice and bringing them back. The scene shifted. It was now night. Gretchen recounted that the interrogation had lasted well past midnight. Those found worshipping demons were executed on the spot. Those who could prove their innocence by various means were released. In this game, evildoers have their divine power stripped away, while the righteous retain their divine power. That's how they prove their innocence. However, only some clergy here possess divine power and some do not. Hence the need for interrogation. I don't have any skills related to that now, so I had to wait half a day. Gretchen thought, What exactly is wrong with this logout bug? Why can't I log out? I've really tried every way to log out, but it's impossible. When a player sleeps or is unconscious, the game recognizes it easily. But it's been quite a while now, and the nutritional value of the full-type fluid is probably gone. If I've pushed this to the limit, it's not surprising if my body has fainted. Or maybe my timing was a bit off. Many games run on slightly different clocks. Anyway, I'm not a scientist to calculate this well. There's nothing I can do now. Stop overthinking. If I just wait, it will resolve itself. At that moment, the Inquisitor arrived and said, "Thank you for waiting." Gretchen also asked, "Have all those vermin been uprooted?" The Inquisitor answered, "Yes, they've all been exterminated, but to root them out completely, we still need further investigation. And from now on, the city forces will keep an eye on them. Once another Inquisitor from the Grand Temple arrives, their trials will be re-examined." Suddenly, the green-haired guy who had been hanging in a tree appeared before them and said, "Is this really okay? I can't say I fully trust them, right? They may be linked to demons, but physically they're not strong. They're just ordinary people. A trained army could easily suppress them. The chance of a problem here is very low." He said, "I'm not talking about that." The Inquisitor asked, "Then what exactly do you want to ask?" "If you tell me to take responsibility, that's impossible. I also want to see how this ends. But I still have one mission I must prioritize." The guy flinched and thought, what should I do? Doesn't she understand yet? Gretchen also thought, what on earth is he thinking? He looked toward our Gretchen as if asking her. Gretchen thought, there's no reason to ask me. That's exactly the kind of character he is. In this situation, you really can't trust the city or the temple. And Gretchen said, this time the Inquisitor who comes should be a good one. She said, don't worry about that. After this incident, the Demon Knight and the church will conduct a large-scale search and a thorough investigation. The guy said, what if members of the church protect their own and hide their crimes like family? Hearing that, the Inquisitor grew angry and said, I don't want to hear any more insults. You're a criminal. At that moment, the Archmage also spoke to calm things. And more importantly, I want to ask you a few questions. When we first met, I had the impression you knew a lot about us. Even before the trial concluded, you had already captured all the traitors. Ultimately, looking at all the circumstances, I have no choice but to question you in the same manner rather than suspecting you.